Welcome, everyone. Welcome to, yes, thank you for that. Folks, I want to welcome you to the Greater Fort Walton Beach Chamber of Commerce and the Emerald Coast Association of Realtors Forum, featuring our school board candidates from District 2, our county commission candidates from District 1, 3, and 5, and our sheriff's candidates also. And I want to thank all the candidates. I want to thank all of you who have committed your time to come down here today, meet some other people, and certainly have the opportunity of coming here on the stage and answering questions that have been created by myself, Keith Wood, Melissa Garza, and the board of directors of each of our organizations. So candidates, thank you very much for coming. It's a great thing. The number one question I'm asked from everybody is, will we be done in time for the presidential debate? I can't tell you how many calls we had about that today. When Melissa and I scheduled this 2 months ago, the presidential debate was not scheduled tonight. So our goal is to be done by 8 p.m. to allow you to head home and catch that slugfest of fun. So our goal, again, here's what will happen. Our school board candidates will be coming first, then all 7 of our 9 county commission candidates. We had 2 that were unable to make it tonight, and then our 3 sheriff's candidates will be coming in 3rd place. If you've never been to the auditorium before, we have the exit signs clearly marked in the back. You also have an exit over there and over there. Obviously, you know by now the whole cell phone thing. You've heard that from long ago. Don't be that person who in the middle of this, when David Schmidt's up here answering a question and the phone rings and it's your kids calling to say when you're going to be home for dinner. Please do what you can on the cell phones. Also, we have it live streamed tonight. Our good friend RJ Murdoch is in the back from EmeraldCoastTV.com. Look at that. RJ Murdoch got applause. So not only is it live streamed today, but it will be available in a recorded fashion on the Chamber website, on the EmeraldCoastTV.com website, and on the ECAR website. So you'll have a chance to watch it over and over again. I told Tony Judnick, who's here from the Crestview Bulletin, I said, I'm hoping that 1,000 people will have a chance to see this issue tonight. Some of you are here tonight, and then some watching it live, and then hopefully at the end. So each of the candidates will have a chance to really get their word out to a lot of folks. And that's it. Paul Lux. Paul Lux is going to come up. Is he right over there? So our supervisor of elections, look at that. They're actually wooing you. There was people over there. Woo! It's supervisor of elections. Right. When he leaves, if you do the cell phones, we're good. But Paul doing such a great job, a longtime friend, ran unopposed. That wasn't too bad for you. We're very happy to have you for 4 more years. So Paul will now share some updates on the upcoming election situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. So again, thank all of you for being here, because what I really get excited about when it comes to elections is seeing the people engaged who are interested in helping candidates and hearing what candidates have to say. I have a table out in the lobby. Cheyenne St. Romain, who is my communications manager, is out there. And we have a few things on the table some of you might find helpful. We have small notebooks. We have pens. We have this fabulous Venn diagram, which I'm going to talk about in 2 seconds. Don't worry, there's no test. But when it comes to the Venn diagram, a lot of people say, hey, what's going to be on my ballot? Isn't there this thing where if only certain people are running, you can do whatever? So if you haven't seen it, go get the Venn diagram. You have the reddish circle on your right. Those are the things that the Republicans will be voting on. You have the blue circle on the left. Those are the things that the Democrats will be voting on. And that area in the middle is for everybody. Whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're nonpartisan, those races in the middle will be on everybody's ballot. So y'all remember Venn diagrams. You know how they work. Grab one off my table. We'll have it posted on our Facebook page before next week, so you have a chance to see that. The other thing that a lot of people ask, of course, because we are a closed primary state, the deadline to change your political party affiliation, if you wish to do so, is July 22nd. If you miss the July 22nd deadline, you are stuck in your party until after the August 20th primary. The last thing I'm going to mention, well, not the last thing, the next to last thing I'm going to mention is a lot of people then ask, of course, the next logical question, what about early voting? So early voting will be from the 10th to the 17th of August. That's Saturday through Saturday. That is all days, all locations, and it's the same locations you're used to. Right there in Shalimar, where my office is, Destin, Niceville, Crestview, and Crestview Community Center and or library are where your 5 early voting sites are going to be. from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. all of those days for all 5 of those locations. The last thing I want to mention, and I want to thank and do a shout out for Conexion. They put our ad front of the newspaper. We would really love more bilingual poll workers. We've been advertising with Conexion for years now, and this is a great encouragement for people to sign up to be poll workers, and more particularly if you speak Spanish and English, sign up to be a poll worker as well. We'd appreciate it. Remember, your election for the primary is on August 20th. When you encounter someone who says, well, I don't really vote in primaries, who cares? The answer is you are going to be electing your sheriff, a majority of your county commissioners, and one of your school board members, and if you live in the city of Mary Esther, 2 of your council members. So don't miss the August 20th primary. When is the primary? Very good. Thank you, Ted.
We got this. There we go. Thank you, Paul Lux. It's very kind. Let's have our good friend David Schmidt and Parker Destin head on up here if they could. We're going to have our district candidates. You see the seats over there. While they're getting situated, again, for those who I haven't had a pleasure to meet, my name is Ted Corcoran. I'm honored to be the president and CEO of the Greater Fort Walton Beach Chamber of Commerce. Our organization is helping sponsor this, as well as these 2 nice people over here. Right here is a good Keith Wood from ERA American Realty. He is a phenomenal realtor. He's on the board of the chamber. He is the chair of ECAR. I could go all night about how wonderful Keith Wood is. And he's also the guy, if you've seen him before, he's always wearing the bow tie. So I, in his honor, I'm wearing a bow tie for the first time since my senior prom. So in your honor, my friend, we're very honored for that. So Keith Wood, one of the moderators, and on the other side is Melissa Garza. She is the government affairs liaison. Look at that. And she was nervous that no one would know who you are. Well, Melissa Garza is the government affairs representative from ECAR. She helped contact the candidates and help with the questions and so on and so forth. So we're about ready to start, right? Oh, let's do this. Before we do that, Keith, let's have some tips on what you're looking for from the audience.
Yeah, so the main thing, we want to keep it simple. We want this to be fun. We already talked about the cell phones. Everybody knows that. The other thing we want to just be mindful of, kind of Keith's tips for the audience, we want to honor the time given to the candidates and make sure that they have their full amount of time to answer their questions. So even if you're supportive of what a candidate says, try not to interact, try not to clap or cheer or whatever, because we want to make sure we honor the time they have and that they're able to finish whatever that sentence is they're talking about. So if we can refrain from any of the reactions as the candidate's speaking, we'd appreciate that.
Well done, Keith. And to that point, for these candidates and for the others, you'll see there's a clock straight ahead, operated by the one and only Seth Luttrell. We're asking for a 1-minute introduction, a 1-minute opportunity to answer the question, and then a 2-minute close. So it's a quick turn time on that. Again, we're going to look at that clock up there. We do not have the capabilities of muting the mics, which is a big part of tonight's component, as you may have heard. So in this case, the muting will consist of either Keith and I yelling out, "Stop now." So we're happy for that. And any pointers to our friends? And let me share this if I could. I've known both of these gentlemen for a long time. I want to thank you both for putting out the signs by Valentine's Day. I thought that was really nice of you to begin to have the colorful signs all over town. I mean, waiting till the summer, long overdue. Valentine's Day should now be celebrated, if not New Year's, should be celebrated in the future for putting out the signs. But any pointers for our friends over here, Keith, that you'd like to hear from?
Yeah, I think Ted kind of covered it. We talked about the phone thing already. Everybody knows that. But the big thing is just that clock. What we don't want things to get awkward. We don't want to have to say, hey, cut it off. So let's just make sure we keep an eye on that clock. As it counts down to 0, we'll stop and go to the next question. Great. We appreciate it.
There we go. So we're ready to go. Thank you all for coming again. EastEmeraldCoastTV.com, live streaming everything and recording this. Let us start. Keith Wood, first question, if you could, my friend.
Yeah, well, with this one, we'll start with Parker.
Sure.
What inspired you to run for office?
Do we want to go with intros first?
Oh, okay, yeah. Again,
we're already breaking our own rules.
Moderators.
We're already breaking our own rules.
we made a bet earlier. I said, I wonder if they're actually going to pay attention to us. And you are. So well done. Parker Destin and then David Schmidt. Let's do your introduction, my friends.
I apologize. That's my internal My former life as an attorney following procedure, I couldn't help myself. My name is Parker Destin. I'm a seventh-generation Floridian. I have lived here all my life. I'm a product of our local schools. I own and operate hospitality and restaurant businesses here in Northwest Florida. And like many of you, I have deep concerns about the state of public education in this country. We have actually a great school system here in Okaloosa County, and I want to keep it that way. I want to make sure that we focus on common sense sorts of principles, policies, and to that extent, I want to make sure that we concentrate on updating our infrastructure. In Okaloosa County, we have schools that are academically in the top 10%, but we are dead last, 67 out of 67 in infrastructure. We haven't built a high school since, I believe, in over 50 years. We need to change that. We need to pay teachers better. They're leaving the profession in droves. That's common sense. Only West Virginia pays them worse than we do, and we need to make sure that we put private sector voices, business folks with business acumen up on this board. It's a $550 million annual budget. That's a $500 million with a B. It makes sense to send business people up there. I'm the candidate that offers that, so I would love to have your support on August the 20th.
Thank you, Parker Destin. David Schmidt, my friend,
All right.
intro.
The introduction. My name is David Schmidt. I am a parent of 5 little blessings and a husband to Shannon and our golden doodle Layla. My wife is a graduate of Crestview High School. I'm a graduate of Fort Walton Beach High School. I'm also a principal at the Dropout Prevention at Risk School for the past 10 years, as well as been finishing up my second term on the City of Fort Walton Beach Council. Also, too, I'm very excited about the opportunity to blend my experience in public service, to blend my experience in education, and being the only candidate that's a parent, and if elected, the only school board member currently having kids in the school system, I think is very important, and I also think it's time to elect a parent.
There we go. Welcome. I want to verify, because my hearing's going bad. David's a little far up on the mic. Could you all hear him on that? Okay, good. Just double checking. Very good. Thank you. All right. So, Keith, you're up.
Yeah, so I think we kind of covered that first question in the intro anyways, so appreciate that. What would you say, we'll start again with you, Parker, what would you say are the biggest challenges facing the district?
So traditional public school system, which is what we're going to be in charge of, everything comes down to funding. Funding, funding, funding. The greatest invention of all time has always been free and available public education. Funding in this present circumstance where we have inflation and we can assume ever-dwindling dollars coming from Tallahassee and Washington, D.C., funding is going to be the greatest challenge to making sure that we make every child have an opportunity to receive a world-class education so that they can be the best participants in our economy, but more so in our democracy, because you have to have your wits about you to be good at both of those things. Funding is always going to be the biggest challenge, and we're going to have to work on that in a bunch of dynamic ways.
Thank you. How about you, David? What do you think are some of the biggest challenges facing the district?
Some of the biggest challenges, I'd start off with staffing. We have a lot of staffing issues at all job category levels, from the paraprofessionals to the bus drivers to the classroom teachers to your guidance counselors to your mental health providers. To be realistic about the staffing issues, we'll always need to advocate for paying teachers more. That's something that we should be advocating for every single year. But we are in a crisis with staffing, and this isn't just the county. It's an industry-wide thing. So continuing to do some of the alternative things that I've been able to do at the alternative school and bringing that support to our superintendent, and bringing that support to our school board, bringing that support to our families and students and staff, because we got to have highly effective and qualified staffing in our classrooms, in our buses, and our guidance counselors, our principals, our assistant principals, and right now there's a shortage for staffing.
There we go. Well done. Continuing on, David, we'll start with you. Have we addressed the right issues with the half-cent sales tax revenue?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for, improving the school facilities. I think if after staffing, the next would be facilities. While at the same time, I want to make a contrast where, we have hundreds of millions of dollars coming in, and we have about 6 years left until the sales tax sunsets. I really do believe and want to advocate for us having a board-approved facilities master plan. And what that looks like is this. We get our economic development folks. We get our military folks. We get our staff. We get our residents. We get our families. We get our Chamber of Commerce's coming together to build a school board-approved plan. Not a top-down approved plan, but getting those people from the ground up to help build that plan so that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we can track the direction we're going, we can track the money that we're spent, and making sure it's being spent in the right places.
Parker Destin, same question, my friend. Have we addressed the right issues with the half-cent sales tax revenue?
Yes, I believe we have. If you look at where we were as a district in 2020, I believe the revenues that were going to be available for capital improvements were only $1 million for the entire district. And without the half-cent sales tax revenues, we would be in a terrible state right now. And to counter a little bit of my colleague's point, I don't believe that necessarily we presently have mismanaged any of it. Actually, it's not from top down. Right now, the entire list of everything we spent and we're going to spend comes from the bottom up, and everything is being generated site-specific with the collaboration of principals, our PTOs, our parents. It goes to a half-cent sales tax committee, and then to the final and third level, it goes to the district itself for review. It's a fantastic gift with a bow on it because frankly, that revenue is 56% paid by tourism, and rather than you and me when we buy groceries or gas. It's a good thing, and I think we need to probably renew it in the future, and I'm happy that we have it.
That's good. And that's a question, if I could, Parker, following up, and David asked the same question. Our organization helped in the campaign for the local optional sales tax. I'm already getting calls from people, when will we start it again? So I'm going to ask each of you, are you in favor of renewing the 10-year sales tax when it comes up?
Yes.
David?
I want to see a school board approved plan. So that we can make sure those hundreds of millions of dollars that will be coming in now, as well as those hundreds of millions of dollars if the community approves it and supports it in the referendum, I would strongly advocate for us having a school board approved plan. Again, here's why. Yes, the parent-teacher conferences or the parent-teacher organizations are helping build it. Yes, there is a surtax committee out there, and there's some great people that are on that surtax committee. But I strongly believe it's much greater than any superintendent or any school board member, that product, that school board approved plan is something that will long live past any of us and any of us in our office. So I would strongly recommend a school board approved facilities master plan before I get behind strongly supporting the sales tax referendum.
There we go. Keith Wood, your question, sir.
David, we'll come back to you on this one. Teacher pay has been mentioned already, and it's an important issue, and strides have been made to increase pay, particularly with new teachers. How would you support and retain high-quality teachers that has been in the district for years that may be making as much or in some cases less than new teachers coming into the district?
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to work with our families and our superintendent, our staff to create some policies that will help really support teachers and the retention that we need for our highly qualified staff. For an example, we have a policy at the school I work with where cell phones don't make it on campus. They get put away in the lockbox and they get it back when they check out or when they're dismissed at the end of the day. That's one thing. Another thing is we have a policy before a student can return to school, whether it's behavior reasons or other attendance reasons. Before that student can return, we have to have a parent-teacher conference, guardian, grandparent. What that does is it closes the gap between the staff at the school as well as the families to try to figure out what's going on, what are some of those needs. Because a lot of our staff, the reason why the retention rate is low from year 1 to 8 is a lot of pay is one thing, but a lot of it too is just needing more support as well as impacting the behaviors from our students.
Parker, would you like me to repeat the question?
Sure, I think that'll help me.
Teacher pay is an important issue, and strides have been made to increase pay, particularly with new teachers. How would you support and retain high-quality teachers that have been in the district for years that may be making as much or in some cases less than new teachers coming into the district?
One of the biggest ways we can attack it is to continue working with the DeSantis administration and the folks at the DOE over in Tallahassee who have been addressing what we're talking about, which is salary compression, where we've had, in order to recruit new people, we have to pay them more, and then the people with the experience on the back end are being paid about it the same. A lot of the reasons that we get into this situation is there's just money doesn't grow on trees. We're going to need to look at everything that we can cut from an efficiency standpoint within the budget, everything from litigation costs to things that really are superfluous so that we can dump it into teacher pay. But again, like my colleague stated, it's not just pay. My mother was a school teacher for 33 years, and they never paid her or her colleagues very well. She did it because she loved the kids and loved the profession. What you need is support, and I am in agreement supporting the teachers from everything from the absolute glut of behavior issues to the fact that frankly, they don't feel that that the parents of the students are on the same page. They need help from administration and school board, and that's what I intend to do.
Thanks. This one will come back to you.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on the state's expanded school voucher program and funding for students that remain in public schools?
Oh, I'm in full support of the expanded voucher program. I think choice is appropriate. I want to see things being done on an even playing field. My only concern is that I don't want to see the traditional public school system lose out on funding when it is responsible ultimately for 90% of all of our students' education in the entire state. So I'd like to see that we make sure that we recommit ourselves to funding traditional public schools, making sure that the playing field of competition is even, so therefore it's fair, and then all boats will rise in the competition, and to make sure that simply that funding ends up coming in a proportionate manner so that, frankly, traditional public schools who have the responsibility make sure that it is not a race to the bottom.
David?
Yeah, just to make a little contrast with my colleague, I think it is fair. I mean, it's a beautiful thing when our community has an opportunity to have a choice. It's very easy to, like competition in many other industries, but I think competition in the educational marketplace is just as good. That's going to encourage every institution, every school, every high school, whether you're the Montessori school, whether you're for Walton Beach High School, making sure your facilities, making sure your programs, making sure your curriculum and instruction is competitive. Because every single one of you have a choice to take your kid or grandkid to the facility, to the institution, to the school that you believe is best for you and your student. I would argue that the playing field is even. It's an educational marketplace where you have the choice to take your kid, your grandkid, to a school that you think is best for your values and your value systems.
All right, then. We'll start with David on this one. How do you view the role and importance of the school resource officer program in ensuring the safety and well-being of students, faculty, and staff in Okaloosa County Schools? The school resource officer. How do you view the role and importance?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great partnership to have with the school resource officer. There's so many needs that our students and our families have, whether it's truancy and attendance in our resource officers and go and do welfare visits, or the behaviors that are happening rampant on campus with vaping and other behaviors. The relationship with our law enforcement officers on our campus is very valuable, while making sure that we maintain a relationship where those school resource officers are there for keeping us safe for really the most critical and the higher need cases. It's very easy for some educational leaders to utilize those school resource officers for regular discipline, or utilize those resource officers for being the mean bad guy that needs to go in there and do things. On our campus, I like to make it very clear that our administration, our teachers, our staff handles the behavior, and our resource officers are there to continue to monitor the perimeter of the campuses and continue to build those relationships for the big issues, the things that could be life or death.
There we go. Thank you, sir. Parker, same question on the importance of the school resource officer.
Oh, I'm completely in support of the school resource officer program. I'd like to see it expanded. I'm thankful to Sheriff Aden, who has followed his predecessor's position on helping pay for school resource officers. It's a big expense, but it protects all of our children and students and our faculty in our employees in all 37 of our schools. Some of the campuses are so large that one resource officer is not enough to practically deal with, and when you have multiple incidents at multiple times. So I'd like to see the program expanded on some of our larger campuses and high schools in particular, because you want to make sure that if something, God forbid, bad was to happen, you've got more than one person prepared to respond to something. And that's just the world we live in, so we need to be ready for it. But I'm very thankful for the Sheriff's Office for their partnership, and I'd like to see it enhanced.
Mr. Wood?
Parker, let's talk about trade school for a minute.
Sure.
Trade skills is something that's been talked about over the last couple of years. How do you view trade schools versus what we consider traditional schools, especially in early age of children?
I think it is of paramount importance that if we don't get behind shifting the way that we look at the long-term outcomes of what skill sets we're providing for our students, we are going to put them at a terrible disadvantage in the modern U.S. economy, because all of the highest paid jobs are not coming out of four-year degree college jobs. They are in the trades now. I run restaurants. I have a need for HVAC, plumbing, electrical constantly. I am paying out I can't find people to do the work, and when you can find people to do the work, you are going to pay a tremendous amount. There is a future in the trades, as there always should have been, but we went awry somewhere where we said the only way that anybody can make a living or be somebody is to go through 4 years worth of school. So I think we need to identify them early, get them sent over into trade programs and vocational programs as soon as we can, so that we can start sending these kids out into the workforce as fast as they can, because the need's already there, so that they can start making a living without the cumbersome level of debt that usually comes with a 4-year degree.
Thank you. David?
Yeah, over the last 10 years, this has been my primary focus at the Dropout Prevention at Risk School, of giving those students some hope. We have some cases where students went to Tiffany Nelson in the Food for Thought kitchen, and they don't like math, they don't like science, but they learned how to cook, and it changed their life. And one of them, for an example, went on to work with Emeril Lagasse and worked on his pasta line at their restaurant. And that really changes a kid's paradigm as well as their future. Again, having my jersey, being sweaty, being in the game this past 10 years in the educational marketplace, this is what I go to work every single day for trying to do. Like my colleague said, being in the restaurant business, as well as some other things that are very commendable that he's a part of, but I've submitted my letter of resignation as being a principal, as well as submitted my letter of resignation being a city councilman. This will be my full-time job. We have 4% of students going to technical colleges after we graduate from high school. We have to shift that needle.
Thank you. Next one's going to be a 3-part question, so if you can kind of bear with me on it as I read it. Both of you have served on different city councils. Could you each share one project or proposal that you spearheaded and are most proud of, and describe how you successfully spearheaded that through your respective council and any lessons you learned from that experience? We'll start with you, David.
Yeah, I think one project, going back 7 years ago, and I think spearheaded, it would be a disservice. There was a lot of key stakeholders that were part of this, but I'm very proud to see the development where we're at today with having a $171 million bridge that is going to connect Santa Rosa Boulevard and downtown Fort Walton Beach with 12-foot sidewalks. It's going to open up the access to our public beach accesses, where thankfully the survey line goes to the back of the property, where our 1.5 miles, 2 miles of public beach access connecting our downtown to our public Gulf of Mexico. Also, too, if you haven't been to the landing in a while, we're currently in phase 2 of the redevelopment of the landing, where we're pushing out the submerged land lease and having, thanks to our friends from the county and the Tourist Development Department, that's going to be paying for a lot of that, a new amphitheater, splash pad, and other things that's going to create a vibrancy. I'm very proud of trying to change the culture of our downtown through our public safety and eliminating some of the vagrancy. There's a fine line between vagrancy and homelessness, and I want to improve to change that culture and improve our vibrancy in downtown.
Thank you. Parker?
I really did enjoy my 4 years on Destin City Council. I crammed in an awful lot, but I think the thing that I can hang my hat on that will outlive me, and one thing that I definitely am proud of, was we shifted the approach of local municipalities, coastal community municipalities and counties in Florida to litigate the private versus public beach issue. And rather than wasting money, I'm a lawyer. I know when you litigate, you're mostly just making the lawyers rich. You probably are not going to get anything you really want out of it. So I knew from the get-go, we could go like Walton County did, and we could set $4 or $5 million on fire with lawyers trying to litigate forced sharing of the beaches, or we could start taking that money and just start buying private beaches and rededicating them as public parks. And at this point, we're up to almost 1,500 linear feet of new public beaches, and I can tell you that was the first time we'd done that in almost 50 years, and I'm very proud of that because it kept us out of court, and now our locals have somewhere to go, and so do our tourists. It made sense.
There we go. Interestingly enough, the next question is, how will you balance your full-time job with this position? And David, my jaw just dropped on that comment you just mentioned about, I understand the concept of retiring from the council, which is a logical transition, but leaving your full-time job to be a full-time school board person. Please explain that one, my friend.
Yeah, fortunately, I got the support of my wife, and she really is what glues it all together at our household. And when we came back from our New Year's trip, we just wanted to go all in on this. We feel convicted that God has called me to do this. And whatever God's will is, I'll be at peace with, but we're going all in on this. And I think it's that important of a job where, like my colleague mentioned, it's a $500 million budget. And not even counting that, but the curriculum and instruction and the behavior and the support is going to take a full-time responsibility. This is nothing to take lightly, and I want to give it my full-time responsibility.
Wow. Parker, the official question was, how will you balance your full-time job with this position?
Well, the great news is I've been very blessed and fortunate that all 4 of our businesses that my wife and I own and operate have been successful. I have a great, fantastic team of managers that we are able to lean on who operate the businesses, and I'm available to do things like talk to you fine people on a Wednesday night instead of, frying shrimp. So therein lies the secret. I have great help, and I'm proud of them, and I can't say good enough things about them because they allow me the opportunity to serve the public now.
There you go. Keith, what do you got?
What do you see as the greatest opportunity facing the district for you, Parker?
One of the greatest opportunities we touched on, which is trying to transition the way that we look at academics from simply trying to figure out a way to get kids either a high school diploma or shoving them into some sort of 2 to 4 year degree without giving them any guidance on saying, hey, you should start thinking about where you're going to go, because you're going to have to start probably making a living after 18, and you should want to do that. And that means pushing them towards the vocations, pushing them towards where the economy has been screaming for help for at least the last 20 years, but in particular and acutely since COVID, which I'm anxious to see us champion vocation and the CTE programs so that we can start getting kids out there at the opportunity to do it to make a good living, an honest, honorable living without such income, just such debt. Because the 4-year college system, unless you go into a certain degree field, is broken.
Thank you. How about you, David?
The greatest opportunity, so currently we don't have a career readiness scoreboard. I would love to be the county across the country that's known for being the #1 school district in the country in career readiness. So whether it's our realtors or whether it's our other professionals or it's our families that are wanting to move here, let's change the whole scoreboard. I think the opportunity that we have now, there's an appetite not only in our community but in our country to really shift on what the purpose of education is. And there's always going to be a place and a space for academic proficiency. We're always going to need to teach the core subjects, but we have a lot of other areas in our master schedule and other things that I want to double down, and the opportunity that I think is out there that is great is being the number 1 school district in the country in career readiness.
Here we go. I was reading today on Get to Coast that Diane Kelly is going to be having to leave the school board, I guess, to take the job as a Destin High School. Question is, how will that influence the pulse of the current school board? Both of you are filling Marty Gardner's seat, who elected not to run, so that's an open seat. I don't know, how is that role filled, and how will that change now there will be 2 new school board members? Starting with you, Parker.
Sure. Well, as far as I went and looked at the statute, because the question was, is there a special election or will it be an appointment? Right. As far as I can read it, it's going to be a Governor DeSantis appointment. I imagine that he will take consideration from a lot of our local leaders, people like Pat Maney, Marcus Chambers, take that under advisement on who he selects. And if those people have the ear of the governor, I would imagine they're going to appoint someone from the Niceville area that is a stable, good influence and will bring a continued sense of professionalism and stability. I don't know who that may be, but I'm excited to work with whoever that is. But I believe it's going to be an appointed position, and I can't wait to serve with whomever that ends up being.
David, he kind of answered the question. Do you have any additional information on it?
Yeah, I mean, it more than likely will be an appointed position, and I look forward to working with whoever that new person is to be the #1 school district in the country in career readiness.
There you go. Keith, you have that question?
Yeah. What do you think are good attributes for a successful member? What do you think to be effective? What attributes?
Me, starting off with me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think one is experience. More experience. I mean, the $500 million budget is a very comprehensive clock, and there's a lot of things that go into it. So one, experience. Another attribute is time. I think this is going to need to be a job that is dedicated with 100% and exclusively going after this job and after your time. Another thing is support. You know, showing the staff as well as the family and being that mediators between the schools and the families. And, you know, being on city council, I started off with you get a concerned citizen, you'd pass that stuff on to staff, you get the information back from staff, tell it the concerned citizen, and it wouldn't be very effective. But getting the concerned citizen, getting the staff, and getting the superintendent in the same room together and doing that regularly is a good opportunity.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Parker, what attributes make an effective school board member?
So I'm going to give you the advice that I hope people in Congress hear. It's the thing that they don't seem to hear in DC, which is no one is an emperor in any of these boards. We have designed our entire American democracy system into a mix so that everybody has to talk to each other, compromise, figure out how to move the ball forward for the benefit of all. One of the most important things that a lot of people never learn, and a lot of times if they get elected, they'll waste 4 years just never learning this, which is you need to be affable, you need to know where your bright lines are on issues, and you need to learn how to be able to see what the other person that's sharing the dais on you is looking for. You need to understand that you can't always be a winner. Half of what you want is better than nothing what you want. And then also learning to be the team player that says, I don't need the spotlight on me. I'm here to support the group. And if we get a win for everybody, that's a win for me. And being humble, that's an important part about it. There are so many people that get elected to these roles, and they just fail miserably because they just don't understand that they can't rule by fiat. So it's important.
There we go. Gentlemen, we're honored. That's the end of our prepared questions. I thank you very much for your maintaining the clock and answering so professionally. So, David, why don't we start with you? We indicated a 2-minute closure.
Absolutely. I strongly encourage y'all on August 20th. I'd love to have your support and love to have your vote. If you want to learn more about me, please give me a call, text. My cell phone number is 850-685-0631. Some of you who've got the pencils, you can look up on the website and get that cell number and email address as well. But I strongly encourage y'all to continue to do your homework. Like Mr. Luck said a little while ago, we have early voting that starts August the 10th. This is a very important and crucial time in education with everything that's going on in our education system. Like I said, about half of our students are graduating high school and going to college. About half of those students are actually finishing college. We have 1 in 4 students walking in our high school hallways finishing a college diploma. Again, 4% of those students are graduating and going to a post-secondary technical college. You know, we can have conversations about school choice and how that may or may not be a fair playing field for the public school system, but it's extremely important as the educational marketplace is changing in our times, whether you're for or against school choice, which I'm strongly for school choice, we have to be serious about these changes in the educational marketplace. So with that being said, I strongly encourage y'all to continue to reach out to the candidates, and I'd be honored to have your support and your vote on August 20th. As well as, too, I just want to take this time, because I know she's watching from the flag football field, but I just want to thank my wife, Shannon, and as she watches the 4 kids running around playing flag football right now, that anywhere you are in life, I know most of y'all are leaders out here in your community or leaders in your family, but we can't do this by ourselves. It always takes a strong team, and I'm very thankful for my wife. And in closing, I want to thank Ted and Keith and Melissa, as well as everyone else for being here and being engaged. You know, I know there's a very important presidential debate that most of y'all are looking forward to getting home to, but thank you for being engaged. You know, in the last city council election, I think we had a record, and Paul Lux can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was like 12% of voter turnout. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. If you haven't registered to vote, please get out and register to vote. So again, my name is David Schmidt. The website, please contact me via cell phone. I would love to have your support and your vote on August 20th.
All right. Thank you, David Schmidt. Parker Destin.
Well, I echo everything he said with the compliments to you guys organizing, for all of you taking time out of your evening for participating and for making sure that you spread the message, because you will now find yourselves being sort of the light posts and disseminators of everything politics locally within your family and social circles. And so that's important. Tell people, make sure they show up and run. To put a fine point on my candidacy, again, this school board is separate from the superintendent, which deals with the administration and execution and operations of the school district. The school board has the awesome and arguably where the rubber meets the road authority and power of the purse. It's spread out over 5 people, of which we intend to be one of those 5 members, on how that money gets allocated and spent. Because if the money doesn't get allocated and spent correctly or on things that you prioritize, then it just doesn't happen. It is the most immense power. That's why all of the money decisions in the federal government, it's not with the president, it's with Congress. It's the same thing. You need people from business, folks that have written the front of payroll checks, not just the back of them, to be able to go at and deal with the fact that this organization has over 3,000 employees, 37,000 kids, 80,000 parents. It is a gigantic human organization, and the management over the funding is its most paramount role, and that's why I think I offer the most, having done that in my private life as a restaurateur and overseeing millions of dollars worth of payroll and over 200 employees. Guys, thank you again for your attention this evening, and I would love to have your support on August the 20th. And that's, I think that's the end of it for me.
Well done,
Thank you,
Parker
guys.
Destin, David Schmidt. Thank you for offering your talents to our community, my friends. Well done. We're going to ask that the county commission candidates, all 7, the ones for District 1, 3, and 5, come on up here. We're going to sit you by District 1, 3, and 5. We'll put your name tag there. We'll get you some water, some chairs. We'll start in about 2 or 3 minutes. I want to thank RJ, EmeraldCoastTV.com, recording everything live streaming tonight, and Bob Levinson for this great sound, Systems of Sound. So thank you very much. All right, my folks, this is cool because some of you I haven't even met yet, which is really fun. This is I too am a voter, and I too have the opportunity of getting to know you. So just a review, as you heard earlier, the clock is right up there. Seth Luttrell keeping an eye on that. I think the school board guys did really, really good on that. We did not have to interrupt them. I think they maintained that, so you'll see it straight ahead, such as that. Keith Wood will be taking the lead on some of the questions. What else? Any observations? We have all 7 of you. Oh,
Yeah,
just
no,
to
doing
clarify,
good. Yeah.
I was talking to Tony Judnick, Paul Mixon from District 1 and Heath Rominger from District 3, both were unable to go. They did respond to us and indicate that they'd be unable to attend. I want to make certain that everyone knew that they did not attend. They did comment and say they were unavailable. Therefore, we thought it best to put all 7 of you together in such a way. How's it feel? You guys feel comfortable? You good? You cozy? All right, then. Keith Wood, we're up.
Yeah, let's do it right this time. Let's start with intros.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, we learned. We learned too.
Yeah. So we'll start on, go ahead, 1 minute to introduce yourself. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is DeCarlo. How are you doing anyway? But I'm glad all of you showed up today. My name is DeCarlo Garcia. I am from Lufkin, Texas. I came to Okaloosa County in 1998 by way of joining the United States Air Force. I served at Herbert Field and also had the fortunate opportunity to support in the Kosovo War. After serving my country, I had a stint of homelessness and working around and doing various jobs. I became an assembler at DRS, and I landed a job at Endyne and became a military contractor. I've been there for 17 years. I bought a home in Crestview, Florida. I have a lovely daughter. She's awesome. She's like a second me. I am also the chairman of the Citizen Advisory Council for Crestview, and I am a vice president of We Range Sickle Cell Corporation.
Well done, DeCarlo. So DeCarlo running for District 1, and the next 4 are for District 3, starting with our friend Sherry Cox.
Good evening. I'm Sherry Cox. I am born and well, not born, but raised here in Okaloosa County. Went to Okaloosa County schools. I think I'm the only candidate in my race, District 3, who is from Okaloosa County. I've been a product of the school system here. My children go to schools here, being raised here. We choose here. I've been all over the world, of course, as a real estate agent, former real estate agent. And I build hotels. So, I have lots of experience in real estate. I have joined this race because, and hopefully this will wind that next question up into this and make it a little bit shorter. I joined this race because I've noticed that we're sort of growing beyond our capabilities in the sense of infrastructure and what have you. Our county commissioners are doing a great job of putting the bridge plans together and what have you, but we need our curb appeal to be a little bit better. We need our roads and bridges to be a little bit better than they are. And knowing, as your state committee woman for the Republican Party, that we have the money in those coffers right now to be able to claw it back over to Okaloosa County. We just need to make the ask. I've been told by the legislators time and again now, in all of my dealings with them, that
All
in
right,
order to make the ask.
watch that clock up there.
Sorry?
Watch that clock.
Oh, sorry. In dealing with those legislators, that in order to make the ask, I've got to be in that position. So that's what I'm doing, running for District 3. That's the district runs from Blackman, just south of the Alabama state line, down to Florosa, scoops up a little bit of Niceville and Valpy on the way. Thank you. I'm Sherry Cox.
All right, then, don't forget that clock, everyone. Wade Merritt, nice to have you here, my friend.
Thank you. My name is Wade Merritt, and I'm running for District 3 County Commissioner, obviously. I'm originally from South Georgia, a little town called Wiggum, Georgia, one red light town. I joined the United States Air Force, and I got stationed at Hurlburt Field, served at Hurlburt Field, Duke Field, started a family, lived down on the south end of the county. I've been here for 27 years. I guess, when you talk about who you are, that's a big open book as to who you are and who you become. But at any rate, been married, been divorced, raised 7 children, still have 3 in the school system. I'm a small business owner of a small tractor repair place in Baker. I am a commissioner for the Blackman Fire District, if you didn't know, is the largest fire district in Okaloosa County. We don't have very many people, so our budget's awfully small, but I'm also a first responder with the fire department, so I definitely would appreciate your vote come August 20th, and I'm running for District 3 County Commissioner. Thank you.
Welcome, Wade. Carrie Pitzer.
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carrie Pitzer, and I'm running for County Commissioner in District 3. I appreciate you all coming out tonight. I know it was probably a bittersweet choice, have dinner and watch the president debate, or come see all of us up here. So I'm really thankful for the local support. Thank you to all of you putting it on as well. I have 3 main points for the reason why I am running for County Commissioner. I'm new to politics as of April 1st. I am a businesswoman. I have owned my own company since I was 21 years old. I'm a military spouse. My husband is retiring in 2 weeks after 20 years of service, and we have been blessed to live here for about 8.5 years in Okaloosa County, Florida for 10. It is a pleasure, it is an honor as a military spouse to be able to choose where you live the rest of your life. I am fully invested in this county, not only for our 2 children who will be graduating in the next 2 years that we've gotten to raise here, but also because I intend to live in Baker, Florida, which is kind of silly. I know I don't look like your normal Bakerin, but I intend to live there the rest of my life. And so I have 3 main points. I want to make sure that this county is doing smart, appropriate, planned growth. As you all know, we're beaming at the seams. It's a wonderful problem to have. The second thing is transparency and availability from your county commissioners. I want you to be able to call me, email me, ask questions, and have relationships with constituents. All taxpayers
All
deserve
right,
to be heard.
Carrie.
Have a good night.
You may have to save some of that. Again, you have the closing, so when you said you had 3, I thought, maybe she'll do them real fast.
I tried.
But you have a chance to answer some of those questions during the question part and certainly during the conclusion. The final candidate on the dais today for District 3, Andrew Rensich.
Good evening, everyone. Andrew Rensich, District 3. I appreciate you coming this evening. My wife and my 2 daughters, we moved into the community in 2011 with the 7th Special Forces Group realignment, the BRAC movement. And when we moved into the community, we were well taken in. We set our roots. We started our first company. And during that process, I started to learn about the community. I learned about how hard it was for a small business to work with inefficient government. That got me to run for city council. So I'm currently on the Crestview City Council. I too have put in my resignation from that position since the terms end at the same time. I also my wife and I, from nothing, started an aerospace manufacturing company. So I know what it takes to get small business going and how to work with business, and I want to ensure that we have that efficient government in Okaloosa County.
Mr. Rensich, thank you. So those are 4 of the 5 candidates for District 3. Now we have the 2 candidates from District 5, starting with Drew Palmer.
Hey guys, my name's Drew Palmer. I am running for District 5, and I would appreciate your vote on August 20th. I'm a veteran. I'm an Air Force veteran. I've been in the defense industry for the past 24 years, and I'm running because I sit in the same traffic as you guys sit in. I see the infrastructure issues, and I want to help to address those issues. I'm running because I've also seen the character of our tourism change over the past several years, and I would like to refocus that to get us back to, I don't want to be Panama City. I want us to be back to the family vacation spot that it used to be. And I'm running for that reason as well. I'm also running because growth is happening. The word is out. This is a great place to live. Growth is happening, and I want the community to participate in the planning of that growth. I want to make sure that we engage with the citizens of the county to make sure that the growth does not change the character of your community, and it is something that we can be proud of rather than something that we regret later on. So again, Drew Palmer, District 5, I'm asking for your vote on August 20th.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. And Marianne Wines.
When was the last time you had an issue you felt strongly about, and you really wanted to talk to someone, and you know a person who can make a difference because she always has? I've been getting those calls for over 30 years. As I look around the room, I know a lot of you already have my cell phone number. Being accessible isn't new to me. If you've ever called my office, no one has ever asked you, who is this or why are you calling? I don't play those games. I take calls and I'll take yours. As I've been going around the county meeting people, I hear that citizens just want to be heard. They want a voice. They want a say in what happens around them. I'm Marianne Wines. I've lived here my entire life, and I understand the county issues. I feel like my whole life has led to this election. My work experience, my leadership roles, my business success, my reputation for integrity, and my ability to get things done. I'm the right person at the right time. I have no hidden agenda, no vendetta, and I don't answer to anyone but you. Vote for Marianne Wines for County Commission, District 5. Thank you.
All right, my friends. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you all for volunteering to offer your services to our community. We're very grateful for that. Keith Wood, where are you going to go?
Yeah, on this one, we'll start in the middle. We'll start at Cary, we'll work our way down, and then we'll pick up on the end and come back. What have you been doing to educate yourself about the county operations, its needs and issues?
I love that question. So one of my goals is in the first 100 days of serving you as your future county commissioner is to spend time with all of the different departments underneath our county administrator. So last week I went and met with John Hofstad, and we talked about each department and the pros and the cons and the things that we need. And so last week I went and spent time at the jail with the corrections department. The other day I went and spent time with the emergency operations manager, Pat. I've been spending time with each section and learning how can we help you, how can the citizens be involved, and understanding how all of the money trickles down and where it goes, and maybe understanding a little bit more of questions that I can help citizens understand. So one thing I want to do is make sure that I build relationships with all department heads, as well as relationships with citizens and putting them in touch with the right person.
Thank you. Andrew?
I've been involved with the city council since April 2019. Since swearing in as a Crestview City Councilman member and before then, I've interacted with these officials on a daily, weekly basis. I'm already integrated. Don't get me wrong, there are many things to learn still, but I've been speaking with Pat Maddox and John Hofstad and Nolan Weeks and all of these great leaders within our community for the past 5 years. I'm a member of the OWTPO. I'm a member of the Okaloosa Gas Board. I've been in the trenches, essentially, making the decisions to get us in the right direction.
Thank you. Drew?
So when people ask me how this is going, I have a kind of a funny thing that I say is it's like drinking from a fire hose while you're being buried alive. There's so much to learn. There's so much to learn and to do with the county. I've done, some of the same things that some of these guys have said. I've gone around and visited different departments. I've attended meetings. I've read a lot. But the biggest thing that I've done is probably just to continue to build the relationships. And I've built relationships in politics and in community service throughout my entire time here. And I've always been working with members of leaders in the community to make sure that I understand what's going on, and I listen to people, I talk to people, I understand some of the issues that we're dealing with, and I just want to do the right thing, and I just want to help with the problems that I see, and I just want to work with the leaders that are in place, and so those relationships are really going to matter as we move forward and we try to address the issues that the county is encountering.
Thank you. Marianne?
I'm a bit of a research junkie. I brought pages of stuff I've been researching about the county. I've set up meetings with all the department heads. I've met with the administrator. I've met with the 2 deputy administrators. I spent 3 hours at the jail on my own volition. Really learned a lot. But I'm trying to get a really in-depth knowledge of what's going on here. We can't solve problems unless we know what we're dealing with. And I've been setting up meetings with communities and meeting people like you and talking to them and finding out what's on your mind. What do you think the issues are? What's important to you? Where do you think we're going wrong? What do you think we're doing right? I have spent countless hours just digging into the past of Okaloosa County and making sure that when I'm ready, I've got it right. I don't want to let you down. My goal is to get it right. Thank you.
Carlo, coming your way, my friend.
I've been spending a lot of time, my answer is going to be a little short because we've basically been doing the same thing, it seems, especially with those who already have been doing the work. I also take in consideration the citizens. So I also go and ask the citizens, what have they seen? What is it that they believe they still need to be worked on? And ask them questions about how they feel about projects and information that they've been. You can read it on paper, but it's a different thing when you actually go and talk to the people and get the answer firsthand and learn from them about where they feel like things are lacking. So most of my time has been actually going out, talking to the experts who have been doing the work already, those are experienced, but also talking to the citizens.
Sherry Cox.
So my answer is going to be a little bit different because I am from here, and have been in politics for a minute as your state committee woman for the GOP, and before that as your vice chair. When there's been something that has come up that involved the spending, and it's been a major issue in this county, I've been there. So my answer is I've attended the meetings. I attend the meetings to educate myself. I attend those meetings because they are our meetings as citizens, not just because we need educated on the matters that are at hand. I mean, I've researched the matters that are at hand. We have a stack of research here, and we'll be spending time with the department heads to further explore what their specific needs are in each department. But by and large, the benefit that I present as a county commissioner is that I have already vested in those meetings, attending those meetings, hearing from you what your concerns are as citizens, what you're asked and what your likes are as those issues are presented, and arguing those.
Mr. Merritt.
Well, I guess what I've done is lived in this county for 27 years and experienced the growth, seen all the different things, and I've met with throughout those 27 years, I have met with several of the current people that work with the county. So I guess the best thing I've done to prepare and for the research that I've done for this job would be to live it on a daily basis and be a hardworking taxpayer of Okaloosa County and have to experience the struggles and the things that a large portion of the average, everyday, hardworking taxpayer has to experience. So if you really want to know how the county works, it's in the people. The people that live here, work here, struggle here, and have a hard time being able to afford to live here. So that's pretty much how I've gotten the experience of what I've got is through the people of this county, which is the most important asset of the county.
All right, there we go. All right, well, we're going to start with the category of housing, my friends. A variety of questions on housing. I want to start with DeCarlo. It's interesting. I'd not met Wade before, not met Kerry before, but DeCarlo, I had met you. I didn't know that I'd met you. I didn't know you were the guy. So I'm going to start with you. I want to ask you a question on, could you share your perspective on the pending master plan regarding the orphan parcels from Eglin Air Force Base?
The thing about dealing with Eglin is a big project that we need to make sure we keep alive. Affordable housing is a necessary thing. I believe that once we tackle this situation, we need to make sure that we are actually prepared to handle such a thing with the infrastructure that we already have, no matter where it is. So placing affordable housing in any place of the entire county needs to be responsible, and it needs to be accessible to those who are actually going to live there, and make sure that it is we don't push too far out of the city lines, to make sure they have access to transportation, to employment, and to any kind of municipal services. So I believe that affordable housing in any place of the county needs to be fortified and structured in a manner of which people can actually access it.
Right then. Keith, you got a question?
Yeah, this one's going to go to Wade. Do you believe our county is currently facing a housing issue? Why or why not?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear you.
Yeah. Do you believe our county is currently facing a housing issue? Why or why not?
Yes, sir. Obviously, it's not just a county thing. It's a national thing. It's a state thing, and it's obviously a county thing. I would absolutely say that we do have a housing crisis. You see it all the time. There's people trying to find housing. The problem is it's not affordable housing. The housing that we do have is mainly, a large portion of it is probably taken up by our military. My understanding is that the military is continually tearing down base housing, maybe not rebuilding. I did talk with the ECRC yesterday, or a gentleman that works with it, with Matt Gates' office, and talked about how Eglin Air Force Base had enough housing but did not have the right housing. They had 4-bedroom houses instead of 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom homes. So it seems to me that we do have the military taking up a large number, and the actual everyday tax-paying citizen doesn't have a place to live. I've got a 15-year-old right now, or a 21-year-old that's living at home, that there is no way he could find a house to live in right now that's even affordable, for sure. So we absolutely have a housing problem.
All right then. Andrew Rensich, what responsibilities does the county have in addressing housing inventory and attainability?
The county needs to ensure that it is working with all investors in the community. You'd mentioned the orphan parcels, that I would say I'm very grateful for Eglin. One thing they never do is give up land. And they're putting up land. So those P3s, those public-private partnerships that are formed on those orphan parcels, are going to generate not only commercial space, but also affordable housing. So hopefully, as Wade had mentioned, we can get some of those military members into those housing. So the county just needs to be working with everybody and trying to get ahead of the curve as much as possible.
This one's for Mary Ann. What potential opportunities do you identify for Okaloosa County to implement or benefit from the Live Local Act?
Oh, my goodness. I have it in my notes. Hold on. Lord. The Live Local Act, I can't find it in my notes, so I'm just going to wing it. But the Live Local Act has to do with making grants to make things affordable so that you can be able to purchase land. They usually do it through lenders, and it has to do with down payment money, it has to do with interest rates, and it's very, very good for anybody who's lower income, who's looking to buy a home.
Right then, Sherry Cox, what strategies do you propose to address the county's housing needs?
Well, I think affordable housing is an issue. While I think affordable housing is an issue, I think also there is a responsibility in developing affordable housing in the areas in which our culture as Okaloosa County citizens is not going to be disrupted. So that's not to say that we have any diminished need in affordable or attainable housing, either one, although there is some disparity in what everybody's understanding is between those two and the numbers that are processed for that. That's a different argument for a different day. What I understand you to be saying asking is whether I think that affordable housing is a responsibility on the county commissioners, and I do think that that's the case. While I think that that's the case, I think we have a responsibility to develop the affordable housing in our county in a way that doesn't disrupt the entire culture that has been here for so long. The culture that draws business here, the culture that draws new employees here, that draws new real estate buyers here, and visitors here. Tourism is a very, very essential part of our economy because it keeps us from having to pay income taxes. So if we're not pretty to look at, if we don't have places that are nice to live in and what have you, we won't have that leg of the economy to stand on. But at the same time, it has to be done in a manner that it still makes our area attractive to new people.
All right then. Keith?
Yeah, this one's for Carrie. What role do you think public transportation should play in the development of affordable and workforce housing, and how would you integrate the two?
I do think that traffic is a problem. So transportation obviously is a big part of looking especially at the growth in the North County and how do we get more people on 85 South, and especially those military folks who have an hour recall and sometimes can't make that. So I know that there has been some ideas thrown around. I'm not sure that it's really come to fruition, but about doing some sort of rideshare program at a larger level. I also want to work with Base to open up Range Road. I feel like we should have an evacuation route as well as a man station in the North County. I've talked to a local developer who's willing to pay for the rest of that to happen and partner with Eglin to be able to open a one-way access point off Log Lake Road, which would go directly into Base. We'll obviously have to close that down during mission times. I do think that in the South County, we've got a lot. It took me 2 hours to get from one part of the county to the other day in the height of our summer tourism, which is a great problem to have, but not when you've got places to be. So I think we need to work with the cities, we need to work with the municipalities, and we need to work with our state and figure out a better way to solve our traffic diversity problem.
All right then, Drew Palmer, how would you address potential resistance from communities where new housing developments are proposed?
I don't think we'll meet resistance, right? No. So obviously there is a lot of consternation about the growth that we're experiencing here, and sort of what I tell people as they kind of express those concerns is that we can either participate in the growth or we can resist the growth. If we resist the growth, what's going to happen is the county's going to end up getting sued. We're going to lose. And we're going to end up paying the legal bills, and then we lose our ability to be partners in that growth. And so the best way that we can deal with that, or that we can deal with that, is that we can partner with the developers. That we can participate in forums. We can participate as these plans are being made, and we can make sure that the growth that happens doesn't change the character of our communities, because we don't want to be someplace else. We all live and move here, and we love it here because of the way that it is right now. The fact is, again, the word is out. This is a great place to be. There's growth happening on the mission, on the bases, and things like that. And so we have to figure out, how do we partner with those developers? How do we partner with those entities that who are designing the growth, and how do we make sure that it doesn't change the character of our communities?
All right, my friends, we're going to have a new category of growth. Keith Wood.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask the same question of each of you. Do you believe the half-cent sales tax has achieved its intended goals? Why or why not? And we'll start with you, Mary Ann.
I do. I'm a huge proponent of the half-cent sales tax because it takes the burden off of the homeowner and puts it on everybody equally, but especially it puts it on tourists as well. They're coming here, they're using our roads, they're using our infrastructure, and they don't have to contribute to it. So the half-cent sales tax is a really good way to share the burden with the people who are using those things. So yes, I do believe we have done so many good things with that half-cent sales tax. David and Parker talked about it earlier with the school board, but for the county, it has been huge in infrastructure. It's been huge for hardening roads, for redoing roads, for building new roads, for building bypasses. Y'all, the best thing ever. I'm a huge proponent. Thank you.
Drew.
So I agree. If I could invite you over for dinner and get you to pay 56% of my mortgage, that's a great deal for me, right? And that's essentially what we're doing. We're having tourism fund our infrastructure and the things that are absolutely required. I mean, the way that we got into the situations that we are now with both our school and with our county infrastructure is that we're a low tax area and we love our low taxes. But it takes money to build and maintain infrastructure. It takes money to build and maintain schools. And so, having the half-cent sales tax do that part for us and sort of, supercharge our ability to fund our needs is just an excellent thing. And there is no question that I will be advocating to continue that as long as we can.
Thank you. Andrew?
Absolutely. It has been a game changer for the school board, for the county, for the TDD. It has been for the entire county. All of the surtaxes that were put together by the people of the county. It has given us that 20% that we need to take over to Tallahassee when we put our hand out and say, hey, can you fund this? They always, we get we get a lot more when we bring something to the table. So that extra that isn't going to have to come from the taxpayers and is being funded by the tourists, as mentioned by Drew, is not coming out of your wallet, the citizens of Okaloosa County. And we're getting 10x or 6x back on the money whether it's from Triumph Gulf Coast matching or whether it's from state or federal grant funds.
Thank you.
Yes, so as you know, in 2019, we went from 6 to 6.5%. In 2021, from 6.5 to 7%. That's that surtax they're talking about. So the first one was for infrastructure. It was voted in by all you folks in the county, and it expires in 10 years. It's going to sunset, so you get to decide if it comes back into play or not. What I would like to see is that we are making sure over the next 5 years, while that infrastructure surtax is still in play, that we're making sure we do a little shift in making the future decisions and growth to make sure we don't have to use our tax money backwards to fix our problems. I am definitely a proponent for the one that is in play. I think it is making huge leaps and bounds. $93 million has been brought in for infrastructure. There's no way the people of this county could have funded that without it hitting us hard. I'm very thankful for it. They've all made a great point. Tourists are beginning to pay for it, not just ourselves. But let's make sure we're wise moving forward so that in the future we can evaluate it from a good standpoint and not always work backwards.
Thank you. Wade?
Well, as a Republican, I don't like tax and I didn't vote for it, but that doesn't mean I don't support it. I've seen where it's went and where it's been spent on, and I can tell you that it looks like there was 23 projects so far that they have outlined to do with the half-cent sales tax. And there was 6 of them in District 3, which was Highway 2. If you've ever been down Highway 2 in the north end of the county, that is quite the disaster. I drive a commercial vehicle from time to time with my business, and trying to pass cars on Highway 2 is very dangerous. The dirt roads, that's a split thing with me. If you've ever lived on a dirt road out in the country, that's a good thing. It's not always need to be paved, but I understand it from the county's aspect of trying to save money for motor graders, maintenance employees running motor graders. And a lot of other things, obviously with the bypass and 85 and so on, Old River Road improvements. So it has went very well for what it was advertised for on the ballot, which was to do infrastructure. And at the end of the day, the county did vote it, and the majority said they wanted it, so we got it. So I support it.
Sherry Cox.
So I support the half-cent sales tax. I advocated the half-cent sales tax when it was the school board's sales tax, and I advocated this as well. Even as a diehard Republican and your state committee woman for the GOP, I advocated for this because really because I have a heart for law enforcement and fire professionals. And I realize, as any hotelier would, and somebody that builds hotels would understand, anybody in tourism, anybody in real estate would understand that we cannot support or continue to support the amount of strain that there is on our law enforcement and our fire departments without a little bit of help with the other budget items. And so that help coming through with the house-cent sales tax made it an absolute go for me. So I fully support it.
Thank you. DeCarlo?
I most definitely support it. Any relief, any assistance that we can get to help relieve any kind of load that we as citizens of this county have to take on. People come and they enjoy the land, they enjoy the appeal of Okaloosa County, and we want to make sure that in future reference that they continue by paying their share of enjoying this land. It is to make sure we maintain the appeal so that we continue to be viable, we continue to be attractive to anybody who wants to come here. They enjoy the beaches, they enjoy the business. So yes, I really do approve, and I like the fact that we have it.
All right, everyone, good answers. Thank you for that. Let's go to Sherry. What areas for growth do you envision for the county? What areas of growth do you envision for the county?
So this is not the pretty thing to say, but I'm running on roads and bridges. I want our roads and bridges to look the best possible. I think that they could still use some help. They need a little bit more curb appeal. We need to work a little bit harder on getting a little bit more money clawed back over from Tallahassee to make that happen. Because when people go over the roads and bridges, if there are 12-inch gaps in the bridges and that, then it feels like a rundown destination. And I don't want us to get to that. I feel like we're not quite there yet. Everybody still enjoys coming here, and we enjoy being here. We want our kids to be able to afford to live here, so affordable housing is an issue. We just need to be able to claw as much money back over from Tallahassee to make the roads and bridges prettier while we're still, and more functional, to be honest, while we're still, maintaining the culture on the south end and the north end as pretty much the way that it exists. Yes, there is room for development, but that development needs to happen in a responsible way. And I believe, after seeing the urban planning study from the north end, that it needs to happen in pretty much contiguous with the zoning that is already in place.
Keith, you got the next one?
Carrie, what would be your priority to deal with growth in the county?
So growth is a hot topic. For those of you who don't know, we've got a North Development study going on. The county hired Inspire Collective to study everywhere north of Eglin, because that's really the only places we have to grow outside of these 13 orphan properties. So that is in the midst of happening. I encourage you to follow it and understand it. The first 2 weeks, they asked for public feedback. 4,300 people, the largest feedback this company has ever had 3 responses for pro-growth. People are concerned. People are worried. We've got urban sprawl happening. So we need to focus on the 4 metropolitan areas that have been identified by the state. That's Destin, Niceville, Fort Walton Beach, and Crestview. Let's make those some powerhouse areas. Let's go up a little. Let's don't go out. Let's work on our green spaces. And let's make sure that we're preserving the character of our county. Could you imagine if I bought 10 acres in Destin and opened a pig farm? That would not fly, right? And that's just how the North County people are feeling. They're afraid that we're going to have this urban sprawl into their areas that they have saved up their whole life to be able to afford these farms. We bring in about $6 million in prime farmland, and that needs to be preserved as well.
All right, then. Who's the UNS? Who you do
Sure.
that?
Drew, what do you consider to be the county's most pressing infrastructure needs?
Whew. You guys seen that traffic out there? Roads are the biggest infrastructure needs that we have. I work with, so I work on Eglin, and most of my coworkers and staff, they deal with the traffic in Crestview every single day, and coming south in the morning and going north in the evenings, they lose up to 2 hours of their day. And that's 2 hours away from their family. That's 2 hours that they're not getting paid. That's 2 hours that's just wasted sitting in traffic. So I would say that's probably the biggest one. We're seeing right now also, just with the construction on Brooks Bridge, that's causing backups all the way across Okaloosa Island. And now also on the Mid-Bay Bridge is causing backups there as well. So if you're in Destin, you're kind of stuck. And so absolutely, infrastructure, we need those to be finished. Those are in the works. But as a county commissioner, what we also need to do is we need to lift our eyes, look at the future development that's going to be happening, and make sure we don't get ourselves into these situations again where we're going to deal with this over and over again. Thanks.
Keep going, Keith. You're on
Yeah,
hold.
for this one, we'll go back down to DeCarlo. Can you, in your opinion, prioritize the county's infrastructure projects and justify your ranking?
Could you say it again?
Yeah. Can you prioritize the county's infrastructure projects, in your opinion, of priority, and justify that priority?
We're going to hit roads are a big thing. I believe water and sewer are definitely high on that listing. We need to prepare for the growth that we are going to, whether we plan for it or not, growth is inevitable. So the roads need to be able to handle the people who are going to be here. It's top. The water and sewer need to be able to handle the load, for the impact of whatever development that we do have, whether it is on the outskirts or within city limits and in any kind of structure that's already developed. I believe affordable housing will be right next to that. We building upward, so we need to make sure we pay attention to traffic and public service, emergency services, law enforcement, things like that. And the justification would be the fact that the growth of this county needs to be more responsible. Whatever happens, as long as we make sure that whatever we do is responsible, and being responsible is making sure the infrastructure that's already in place is taken care of first before you start to move outward.
Thank you. We'll go to Wade on this one. Are there any potential surtax projects not currently planned that you think would benefit the county? If so, why do you believe these projects are important?
Well, the surtax was for the infrastructure, and we are covering the roads, we're covering the other things. I don't know, I live in the north end of the county, so, to encompass, I guess our needs are not as great sometimes in the north end, and maybe I don't see as much of the need what y'all have on the south end. But definitely any of the unincorporated parts of the county that have failing roads that may not be on these projects need to be covered, for sure. Any of our county bridges that are not being addressed that need to be addressed for the infrastructure that's not currently listed for the surtax, those need to be covered for sure, because I go across a tremendous amount of bridges throughout Okaloosa County that, I'm not saying that they're not up to par, but they could be widened and some things like that. So there's definitely some room to expand the surtax and fix some more of the infrastructure that a lot of the people in the county may not see, that's on the north end for sure.
Thank you.
You got it? You keep going.
We're going to you on this one, Andrew. Can you provide specific examples of surtax projects you support or oppose and explain why?
Well, I'll give you one example that was instrumental for the North. Back before I was even on the council, Commissioner Fountain was on the commission, and Senator Gates, past Senator President Gates, was the president for Triumph Gulf Coast. J.B. Whitten, mayor now, got everybody together in the room. We scheduled a large meeting. We got congressional level leadership. We've got Senate level leadership. We've got everybody at Warriors Hall. And we didn't walk out of that room until we had a plan. And that half-cent sales tax that we used for that, we got matching grant money from the city of Crestview, from the county, from Triumph Gulf Coast, and all levels were on the same plan, playing on the same team. So that is probably the largest. The Southwest Bypass, when it was originally budgeted, it was $219 million with the cost overruns. I haven't seen the current facts. I'd have to get with Jason Autry on what we're sitting at now. I know it's cost the city of Crestview an extra few million just to move some plumbing. So that surtax was instrumental in paying for some of it and being that multiplier.
Thank you. Mary Ann, we're to you on this one. What infrastructure improvements do you believe are necessary to support the growth of tourism in the north end of the county, and how would you prioritize and fund these projects?
Tourism in the north end of the county? Well, we've got the P.J. Adams bypass. Andrew called it the Southwest bypass. We're also going to need a southeast bypass heading over for the Shoal River Ranch. that's mostly not going to be for tourism, though. But if we can get some of the orphan parcels and do some tricky, the mayor of Shalimar was just talking about doing like a Baytown wharf over in the Shalimar area, but we can do something like that up in the north. And but I'd like to see the southeast corridor made towards the Shoal River Ranch. That's the infrastructure project that I'd like to see next.
Thank you.
All right, then. The North Planning Study has generated a lot of interest all throughout our county. The following questions will be pertaining to that. Starting with Andrew Rensich, what type of development or redevelopment would you like to see at the north end?
The north end is going to have its good and bad. So one of the differences between the north and the south is the south's already built out. The north, we have to put the pipe in the ground, not just knock the building down. So the growth is going to be slower there. That's one of the reasons it's been so expensive and costly to get funding to go to the Shoal River Ranch and get sewer, and all the utilities ran to that. My focus is Shoal River Ranch. Yes, that's in District 1, but it is going to give us the industry jobs, the high-paying STEM and CTE-related jobs that can allow our students to graduate from our institutions and go immediately into the workforce. And same thing with our military members that are either retiring or exiting out of the service. You know, they've done numbers over the years with One Okaloosa, and we have increased our number of retention for those service members leaving the service and staying in our community. We want to continue to grow that.
There we go. Okay, Kerry Pitzer, same question. What type of development or redevelopment would you like to see at the north end?
Absolutely. So what we need is jobs, right? We need people to stop heading 85 to get a good paying job. So we actually currently, you guys have already paid for an interstate exchange at the Holt exit, and there is an industrial park there. So all we need is $2 million from the county. It was actually agreed upon a few years ago. The developers have agreed to develop that area. There was industry that we have already missed out on in this county. Amazon, Sefco, FedEx, Rugger Arms, all of those wanted to come in there, and we did not have sewage. West of Yellow River, there is no sewage. We're all on septic. So we need to make sure that this county is already using the things that we have paid for. We spent $11 million on the Shoal River Ranch when we have no way to get there from the interstate. It's going to be a great thing when it gets done, but let's use what we've already done with your taxpayers and make sure that we're bringing good jobs in.
Wade Merritt, keeping it going. What type of development or redevelopment would you like to see at the north end?
Well, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, but obviously we do need jobs for sure, but can I just say none? I mean, growth is obviously coming and things like that for sure, but you know, at the same time, I agree with Kerry that we do have the industrial park out there in Holt that seems like it's got tumbleweeds running through it, and it should have been utilized years ago. And you know, it seems like the direction moved over toward the Shoal River Ranch. And I do hope that something comes to the Shoal River Ranch, because I don't know, I thought we was going to get an amusement park one time. I thought we was going to get a car dealership out, or a big Hyundai car plant one time. And you know, a lot of hopes and dreams have been out there, but it's never come through. So it does look like the county is working towards that now, and I do support that. But we definitely need to be looking at something that we've already invested money in, like Kerry said, with the industrial park out in Holt. But so that's pretty much it for the growth side of that.
Sherry Cox, same question.
So I'm going to mirror a little bit of what's been said before, but not exactly the same. So what I'd like to see, is the infrastructure increase where we're planning these new developments. Right now, Crestview cannot take any more traffic. I mean, that's the one thing that I hear from every constituent, whether it's north, south, middle, sides, wherever you live in Okaloosa County. What everyone says about Crestview is that they would love to look at real estate there, but they can't stand the drive. So we have the bypass coming, and then there's the Shoal River side. The Shoal River side is a great project. We've got some funding from the governor to help with that. That was perfect, but the infrastructure is just not there yet. So what I'd like to see is, some exploration there on what we can do to improve that, and how we can get some tax dollars back over from Tallahassee once again to improve the infrastructure there to grow in that area.
Here we go. DeCarlo Garcia, your question, sir.
The growth, I've said before, it needs to be responsible. I-10 is a major artery through this entire, country. So there's a lot of traffic going through, as far as the north end is the Crestview area. So the bypass and any other road fixing that we need to, that's a big thing and a big necessity for any future projects, any future planning that we have. I would like for any growth to be, as I stated before, to be upward. So if you want people to come off the interstate, bring in revenue, bring in taxes and things like that, I'd rather keep them close to I-10, but not getting any further. The northern side has a lot of farmland. We don't want to encroach so much on that, not just because of runoff and overdeveloping land, but because of the crops that we have on the north end. It's actually more important than a lot of people may think. So I believe growth needs to be slow and responsible.
All right, then certainly District 5 in the south part of the county, but you'll be voting on issues in the north end. So the same question, Mary Ann Wines, what type of development or redevelopment would you like to see at the north end?
I want to see planned growth. I don't want urban sprawl. The North Growth study is coming out July 15th, 10 a.m. They're going to roll out a whole list of everything that they've come up with. We really can't make a whole lot of decisions until we see what they've come up with on that. But once we get the details of that study, we'll be able to know a lot more what we're going to need to do. I will say that one of the major projects that need to be done in the north is probably going to be the jail. It is sinking into the wetlands. It is overcrowded. It is that we do to the least of thee, you do unto me. We need to do something for the jail. It's not popular, it's not glamorous, but y'all, we need something done with that jail.
All right, Drew Palmer, though, back to that original question, what type of development or redevelopment would you like to see at the north end?
So just as the orphan lands are the solution for our housing needs here in the county, Shoal River Ranch is one of the answers to our economic development needs that we have in the North County. And with the military, with all of the research and development that the military does, there's always things that are not really fit for purpose that are developed by the military. I would love to see the county harness that, capture that, and develop that here locally, and then produce that at Shoal River Ranch. So if we can finish that development and develop Shoal River Ranch to be the economic powerhouse that it can be, that's going to be a game changer for the county. And just like Mary Ann said, the jail, holy smokes. If you guys haven't seen it, it is just, I can't believe that that's what we're dealing with, but that's something that's absolutely going to be necessary. It's not going to be popular. It's going to be very expensive, but holy smokes, we cannot treat people that way. The jail is extremely, extremely important.
There we go. Keith Woods, next category.
Yeah, next topic will be on tourism, and we'll ask the same question of each of you. We'll start down there with you, DeCarlo. How would you address concerns from residents who may be apprehensive about the impact of increased tourism on their communities, such as traffic, congestion, environmental, and changes to the local way of life?
On the south end, tourism is the major, I think one of the major breadwinners, beach life and everything. People are very attracted to the Gulf Coast. Okaloosa County is included in that. That is one of the things of that it is the nature of this area. People are going to seek it out. People are going to be here. As long as we make sure that the roads are adequate to handle the traffic, which we are doing, and we need to make sure we keep and maintain such things, that is good. As far as the north end, as I just stated, I-10 is a major artery, so the traffic is going to come through. That's one of the reasons why I really want to focus on development in the inner city, keep them in there. Basically, get off the exit, shop and go. As long as they're not having to travel through most of it, most of the county, we can benefit from bolstering up our infrastructure and making sure that whenever any passersby come through to Okaloosa County, that they can enjoy it, and when they go home, they always have something to come back to.
Thank you. Sherry, and if anybody needs me to repeat the question, just let me know.
Same question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you repeat it?
Yeah, absolutely. How would you address concerns from residents who may be apprehensive about the impact of increased tourism on their communities, such as traffic, congestion, environmental, and changes to the local way of life?
Right. So I've built hotels for most of my life. think this will be my 25th year owning my real estate development consulting and political consulting firm. So I've heard this question time and again from citizens, and the answer is this: we have got to improve the infrastructure. It's got to get better. These arteries going into and out of Crestview. A little bit of a brainiac answer here that I've done some research on, just working in politics, talking to legislators, is that that right now we have traffic that almost all of the traffic that is Waze or Google Maps or what have you through our county, through Baker, is coming from arteries that wouldn't necessarily even come through Baker, right? So most of the feedback that you're getting from the north end of the county is from traffic that's rerouted there. Would you believe that your routing from Atlanta to come to Destin is going to go through Baker, even though that's not the normal route, that's not the normal artery to come through there? So if you talk to the legislators, there is a process of, you know, us working with them to be able to get those DOT plans diverted so that we can split it off. It's not any better for their citizens than it is for ours.
Thank you.
And it'll
All
give
right.
us a chance to catch up on that infrastructure in the meantime.
Wade?
Well, I can say that I live it on a daily basis because I live just off of 189 in the Blackman community. And, you know, I can assure you that myself and Carrie, for sure, I know we hear it on a daily basis of the growth and, you know, the things and the tourism that's coming down through 189 and through the north end of our county. It is a major concern when you look back 5 or 6 years ago, I could come out, in Blackman up there and I could get on the road in just a few seconds. Now it can be up to a 9 to a 10-minute wait to try to get onto the highway up in the middle of nowhere with traffic coming and going left and right. You know, and I think the major concern with what we see on the north end of the county is, you know, we don't really benefit from tourism a whole lot, but we sure get to bear the burden of all of it that comes through the county. And I'm not down on anybody on the south end of the county that makes money off of tourism. I understand that, and that's the way of life, and that's wonderful. But, you know, it's just a shame that we haven't figured out a way, and the only way I know to do it, I guess, is through roads, or at least a diversion. But if you divert it over to 85, then those people are going to suffer the same thing that we're suffering on 189.
Thank you. Carrie?
All right, so our tourism budget jumped 66% from 23 to 24. So we have got people coming, right? Thanks COVID and the free state of Florida, everyone wants to come here. It's a great thing. I grew up in Auburn, Alabama, and I came to Destin all summer, all spring break. It's changed a lot. So I also think that we live in a diverse county. As you hear the people in the north end up here talking about the traffic that comes down 189 through Highway 4 on that 2-lane road, it's very dangerous. We have a lot of wrecks. I mean, a lot of wrecks. And then you talk to the people in the South County where I work. I have an event design firm, and I work on all of the big resorts along the coast. And, you know, it's a good thing there. But for the locals, it's, again, 2 hours for me to get from one side of the county to the other. So I think what we need to do is we need to get some citizen feedback here on how we're spending these tourism dollars. Let's get creative. In the North County, why don't we get a great amphitheater? You know, a lot of places like Foley have these big amphitheaters, not in the heart of tourism, but it pulls people out of the tightness of it during the evenings and kind of diversifies where you're going to be eating and what you're going to be doing, and that's not going to impact our character. So I would like to get some groups together, get citizen feedback in your area. What part of tourism is impacting you positively and negatively? And then let's hear what they have to say.
Thank you. Andrew?
The north and south tourism are completely different. So let's take roads out of it because we know infrastructure and roads is a major problem within the entire county. In the north, the expansion of the bed tax is going to be great because now we have some funds. We're trying, at least the city of Crestview, our focus is ecotourism, sports tourism. The citizens there want a sports complex, and we are trying to figure out how to fund and put together a sports complex. On the south end, yes, it's very packed, but working with the TDD and their staff, one of the biggest focuses, instead of multiplying the number of tourists, is focusing on the spend. And the spend means that the tourists coming actually, instead of spending, say, $500 or $1,000, they spend $1,500. So that is, we can reduce our actual tourists coming and hope to try and steer towards a higher spend.
Drew?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. How would you address concerns from residents who may be apprehensive about the impact of increased tourism on their communities, such as traffic, congestion, environmental, and changes to the local way of life?
Okay, and so we're not talking just North County. That's what I wanted to make sure that I understood. But yeah, I mean, it is a real concern. It's a concern that I deal with every day. And as tourism has grown, it's something that, you know, we see the impact of. And like I said in sort of my opening statement, was that we've seen the character of tourism change over the past several years. And Andrew hit exactly on what I'm talking about. We would rather have 10% fewer tourists who spend 10% more money that are going to, you know, not hurt the tourist businesses, but they're going to increase the quality of the tourism that we have. And so that's one thing that I think is really going to be necessary that we do, is we make sure that we focus our tourism development dollars on advertising in the places that are going to bring in the families that do the bigger spending and things like that. I love the idea of using tourism dollars to bed tax dollars to develop sports complexes and things like that for the north end of the county as well. The north end of the county is absolutely beautiful, and ecotourism is a great draw, and it's a great way to take advantage of it, you know, to without changing what it looks like. It's a great way to take advantage of the beauty that we do have on the north end of the county without such a heavy impact. So things like that.
Thank you. Mary Ann?
Well, I live in Destin and I work in Destin, so I am mired in tourism. But I can tell you, sometimes the best thing about something is the worst thing about something. I can remember in 2010 when the oil spill hit and we had no traffic. And it was great for about 3 days, but then we realized, uh-oh, y'all, we're in trouble. Then in 2020, we had COVID, and the traffic went away again. And it was great for about a week, but then we started worrying about, well, dadgummit. And don't forget that these tourism, those tax dollars, that's where most of the money comes in to fund this county. It comes right out of Destin. So, when people fuss about, the traffic and the this and the that, and a lot of my friends have moved up north. My daughter moved up to Laurel Hills, got 29 acres up there, and she loves it. But if you make your living from tourism, and if you're used to the tourism, of course, I've been here since 1960, so I've seen a lot of changes. I love it. We can deal with it, y'all. It's worth it.
Here we go. All right, folks. This is going to be the last question. We're going to start with Mary Ann, work our way all the way down, then we're going to have your 2-minute close. Starting with Mary Ann, question is, what is your perspective on the need for a new jail, and how would you propose funding for a new jail? And feel free, if you don't need to use your full minute, don't take the full minute.
Yes, we need the new jail. Absolutely. Thank you.
How about the funding aspect of it? We have a second page. How would you propose funding for the new jail? Same question for all.
Well, we're going to have to rely on grants. We're going to have to work with state, and we're going to have to work with federal. We don't have a plan for it yet. It's not in the works. So I don't believe the county has an answer for that yet. I don't have an answer off the top of my head. But my degree's in accounting. I'm good with numbers. We'll figure it out. I can promise you that.
Drew Palmer, same question.
Same question. So absolutely, we need a new jail. There's no question. Again, if you haven't seen it, it's something that will just really kind of change your perspective on things. So the jail is extremely important, and the way that we're going to fund it is going to have to be state, federal money as well. But also, it's going to have to be a bond. We're going to have to issue bonds, and we have to figure out how to issue those bonds and make sure that we have the money available to pay for the jail.
There we go. Andrew Rensich.
Yes, we are going to need a jail, and we are going to need it sooner than later. The conditions are I'll say deplorable, but they are. The county does what it can, and the staff do what they can with what they have. But at the end of the day, if the Department of Corrections comes in, we're going to be fined. It's going to cost us a lot more if we don't start getting ahead of the power curve on it. It's going to take state, local, federal bonds, and possibly even working with the federal corrections in order to get some kind of, it costs us an average of $20 a day for inmates, and the feds are paying $120 a day. So there may be a way to get some paid for.
Gary Pitzer.
All right, so our jail is on a 17-acre plot, and it's surrounded with wetlands. So as you hear, it is sinking into the ground. We have an $80,000 a month budget for water. So that's not really making things great. It's literally sinking. We need a larger complex. We need a judicial complex is what I fully believe. I think that's going to cost about $100 million. We don't have that anywhere in our budget, I will confirm. No one has a plan yet, but we are going to have to join together because really soon when we have an issue, as we are at 120% occupancy rate and we have a 90% unsentenced rate. We got to get these people sentenced and out of the jail and open up some availability because if not, you taxpayers are going to be paying for the legality of it.
Wade?
I absolutely agree that we need a jail, that's for sure, because I've not visited it, and I hope not to. But at any rate, I have been out there, and you can tell that it's in a swamp, and I am deprived of the water bill and things like that. I couldn't imagine an $80,000 water bill. That's insane. But at any rate, and as far as the funding of it, I agree with Andrew that it's going to have to be very complex in how we get that money because obviously the county doesn't have it. So we're going to have to beg and borrow, and we may have to tax somebody, I don't know, to get it. But it's a necessity that we got to have.
Sherry Cox?
So my answer is going to be a little different than this because I do sort of have an idea about this. And ever since a good friend of mine, Nolan Weeks, took over at that jail, I've been sort of spinning this up a little bit. Not too long ago, our county had the conundrum of funding additional law enforcement based on our tourism levels through the tourist development tax. And that eventually was passed through the legislature so that was a legal ask on that penny of the tourism dollars. My intention is to talk with those legislators with whom I already have very solid relationships for a lifelong of having been over there in Tallahassee to get the jail included in those tourism dollars that are being taxed for increased tourism and the additional burden that our tourists create on our jails and our law enforcement.
Carlo?
Yeah, we definitely need a new jail, but not just something replaced, but also something that is better and bigger. And with that comes a price tag that is very hard to reach, not only just for the location, but from engineering, equipment, personnel, materials used. I had a talk with Chief Meeks, and the comma got a little too large for the stomach when you think about it, and it's not something you can pay for piece by piece. It's something you have to buy in bulk with as far as materials and things. So the processing and the planning is going to be something that's slow and methodical. Whenever it does come together and it gets started, that is definitely going to have to be something that is going to be responsible in spending because there's no coming back. There's a lot of steel and there's a lot of concrete to be put down.
There we go. Okay, folks. I want to share before we get to the 2-minute close that you'll each get. Paul Lux came and wants to remind everyone that we elect the Board of County Commissioners at large, and all voters will be voting on all 3 Board of County Commissioner seats. So again, there's districts geographically, but we will all vote for all open seats. So is that good, Paul? Very good. Thank you, sir. Keith Wood, who's starting on their close?
We'll start down here with Mary Ann, 2 minutes to close.
The current population of Okaloosa County hovers around 217,000, but we have an additional 7.8 million visitors last year. Tourism is vital to our economy, but also brings challenges. Balancing tourism with quality of life for residents is crucial. As our population grows, so does the strain on roads, bridges, and public services. Infrastructure and transportation are at the top of my radar. I'm excited to lend my real estate expertise to the affordable housing crisis, especially with the possibility of Eglins orphan parcels coming into play. I have ideas to keep it sustainable, attractive, and safe. With the ever-increasing threat of criminals crossing our open borders, public safety is more important now than ever. I will ensure that Sheriff Ayton has the resources to keep our families safe. Inflation is hurting us. Minimum wage increases have compounded the problem, and Okaloosa County has close to 1,000 employees. Yet it's important that we keep our taxes low. We'll need to keep a tight hand on the reins while meeting our needs. Economic development is fundamental, and balancing growth while maintaining the county's charm is a delicate act. We need to listen to the people. Long waiting lists and non-availability of child care providers is forcing unemployment on parents who want and need to work. We can help with that. Military community support is imperative. I will nurture those relationships. I'm the candidate with county auditing experience who has a long history of local leadership, proving my ability to get things accomplished, who has run multiple successful businesses for over 30 years with a reputation for integrity, who has always been out there listening, learning, and caring, which makes me, I think, the most qualified candidate. I will be here for you just as I've been here my entire life to make the informed decisions that are in the best interest of all of Okaloosa County. I'd be honored if you vote for Marianne Wines on August 20th.
Thanks. DeCarlo, we'll go down to you. 2 minutes to close.
You caught me off guard with that one. You too. Well, I will reiterate, my name is DeCarlo Garcia. No, I am not necessarily a politician, so I am very much well aware that I may not know all of the answers immediately, but I guarantee you that I love to learn, I love to share all of the information that I have learned. I want to represent those who feel like they have not been heard, and I want the County Commission, Board of Commission to reflect our community and our county in a better sense of need, necessity, and perspective. On August 20th, vote me, DeCarlo Garcia, County Commissioner for District 1.
Thank you. Drew, 2 minutes to close.
Oh, me? Wow, you caught me off guard too. Wow.
They're doing it on purpose.
Oh, man, it's tricky. I got it all relaxed. Hey, so I'm Drew Palmer. Please vote for me for County Commissioner, District 5. I joined the Air Force when I was 17. I'm not from here, but I did get here as quickly as I could. And I love it here. This is my home. This is where I've raised my kids, and this is our home. And I've been in public service behind the scenes for a very long time, and I want to continue that service. So the things that I bring to the table, I'm a senior leader in a large defense contractor, and there has never been, even though it's 70% of our local economy, there has never been somebody who's working in the defense industry who's on the Board of County Commissioners, and that just shocked me. And so I think I bring that to the table. I also, I've had hundreds of employees and managed billions of dollars worth of budget. The $650 million budget that the county deals with and the 1,000 employees, that's a lot. But I have experience that is very similar to that. I run a very large, complex organization. I've had to make decisions as a member of a board. I understand how this works. And I think that I bring a lot to the table as far as that's concerned. I have the relationships because of my service behind the scenes. I have relationships at the federal and state and local level within politics. And I have the ability to get things done. And so I ask that you vote for me on August 20th, and I will do my best to serve you as well as I can.
Thank you. Sherry Cox.
Hi, I'm Sherry Cox. I am a lifetime local of Okaloosa County. That may not mean anything to the average listener, but what it means to me is being fully vested and saturated in public service, in public works, in our law enforcement, our military, in our firefighters, in our educators, everything that makes Okaloosa County culture what it is, whether it's the beaches or the farms, whether it's the military, our law enforcement, our educators, whoever it is. I've been fighting for you as your state committee woman, as your vice chairman for the Republican Party. I've been there in Tallahassee forging those relationships so that we can make the ask. And when it's not my ask to make, I pave the way so that our sheriff can make the ask or our county commissioners can make the ask. In this case, I think what I uniquely bring to the situation of this election is somebody on the Board of County Commissioners who is experienced in real estate development code, who knows what planning a responsibly planned community looks like as compared to a community that destroys its environment, it destroys the culture around it. We don't want somebody to come in and take Okaloosa for granted. We don't want somebody outside of this county to come in and tell us that it needs to be developed at, this many units per acre, when what we have is working as long as we work together. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here for you. I'm here for your vote. Vote for Sherry Cox, District 3.
Thank you. Andrew, we're coming back to you.
10 years ago, I would have never thought about politics. I was U.S. Army Green Beret. The blinders were on. It was all about mission first. Step forward to 2018 when I left active duty. it was to get more involved in the local community, and I did that. In the city of Crestview, we've made leaps and bounds on the way things happen. We've have community growth there that people want to be there now. We've taken the actual millage rate down twice in the last 5 years. And over the last few years, besides running my companies and launching a new aerospace company, we have, it's very, when you get to learn about something like One Hopeful Place or Children in Crisis or all these organizations, that is why I'm doing it now. The community, there's so many things in the community that are happening from other nonprofits, and we will say that I truly enjoy learning about all of those things happening, and it makes my kids better, it makes my family better, and that's why I want to continue in this position, to be at the table and learn about those type of organizations and be part of it. So August 20th, vote Andrew Rensage, District 3.
Thank you. Wade, 2 minutes to close us. Yes, sir.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry. Well, as you can tell, I'm definitely not a politician, and I don't speak like one. And, you know, sometimes that can be a good thing. Diversity is something that makes our country unique, and I believe it would make the Board of County Commissioners unique. I am an everyday, hardworking, tax-paying citizen. You know, I see things from a different perspective than a lot of people. I would say the upper 10 or 15% of a lot of the people that make a lot of decisions in our county that a large number of the hardworking taxpayer has to deal with, put up with, and maybe we don't feel like we get a voice sometimes. So, you know, it's not a very complex thing that we're trying to do here. We're trying to govern the county. We're trying to do the best thing that we can do for the citizens and the people that live here, work here, and play here. I just want to make sure that, you know, for me to live here and to work here and for my kids to grow up here, I want to be sure that they can enjoy it too. You know, I understand that people come down here all the time with tourism and things like that, but you know, sometimes Okaloosa needs to come first, and that is the citizens and the hard tax-paying citizens. And I mean, that's dear to me, and I think that we need to preserve a way of life in the rural end of the county for sure, and also if you live in the south end, we need to preserve your way of life. And it's just important that we work together and we strive together to be one Okaloosa and just try to do the best that we can do for our communities and be good stewards of what we have. So again, I would appreciate your vote come August the 20th and try to elect me to be your next Okaloosa County Commissioner for District 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie.
Thank you. I appreciate the time to speak tonight and get to meet you guys. If you haven't been to meet me personally, I would love to meet you one-on-one or come to your organizations or your groups and speak to you as well. I am requesting the honor of your vote on August 20th for District 3 because I think we need some change. This is a big year in politics on many levels. As we all know, we're going to be running out here to see the presidential election. But we have 3 seats available on this board, and 3 seats is a big time on a board of 5. It is time to really educate yourself on every candidate, where they stand, what they're working for, and who they're working with. Make sure that you're getting correct information. Sometimes it's easy for us up here, as we're asking questions, to maybe spit out some silly things. We actually get 70% of our income in this county from the military. Eglin supports us, we got to support them, but that doesn't mean that the taxpayers that chose to live here have to be impacted on the whole. Our land development code is a mess, and that's why we're seeing this urban sprawl and this crazy growth. We have to handle our comp plan, and that is what we as commissioners are tasked to do. And so I really hope that you will research every candidate, ask us good questions, and challenge us on many levels so that we can serve you, the people, be the voice of the people, help us carry Okaloosa forward. I hope to have...
And my friends, so thank you to the 7 candidates who are here, the 2 that are not here. I want to favor candidates, take your bottle of water, take your nameplate, and put it on your breakfast table in the morning so you know where you're sitting. We're taking a 2-minute break. Sheriffs, 3 people, come on up. 2 minutes. We should be back.
same. We'll skip number two.
You're doing good. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. We're honored that you're all here. Our third phase tonight, of course, is our Sheriff's Department. I've just reminded each of them, we do have the 1 minute time straight ahead. And we're at 7:30. I think we did good on that last one. I think we did good. We had a lot of people there. Did we do good? We did, right? I mean, it was good pacing, so we'll do the same thing here. So here we go. Keith Wood, my friend, let's start off with where you start in your introduction.
Yeah, we'll start down there with Eric. 1 minute for an introduction.
2 minute introduction?
1 minute.
Oh, 1 minute, all right. Lord. So I was born here on Eglin Air Force Base. My father was a young pilot that was training here on Eglin. My mom was a school teacher here at Shalimar Elementary for 25 years. My brother and I grew up here in the school system. You know, I was going to Florida State because I had an early dream to become the sheriff one day. Didn't know exactly how to make that happen, but I knew Florida State had the greatest criminology program in the country. And even though I'm a big Auburn fan, I decided to go to Florida State. And I did, and I was in my junior year and did an internship at the sheriff's office. I kind of had the idea that I'd go to the feds and work there, and I had some opportunities to work there. But it was not until I interned with the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office junior year of my in college that I fell in love with it. And my mom said, "Don't you want to stay, honey, and go to law school and I'll take care of it?" I said, "Oh, heck no. I want to come back and make $17,000 a year as a deputy sheriff," and that's exactly what I did. I guess I'm out of time, so I got about a third of the way through.
You got a 2 minute close, don't forget that. Next up.
Ronald.
Well, hey, appreciate y'all sticking around. My name's Ron Livingston. I've been with the Florida Highway Patrol for 32 years. Out of that 32 years, 20 years I've been in a supervisor role. I've been an instructor for about 25 years. I've got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice administration. Talking about family, I wasn't born and raised here, but I'm a third generation state trooper. My grandfather was a trooper in Okaloosa County, became an Okaloosa County judge. My dad was born and raised in Okaloosa County. He became a trooper. So I guess it's kind of in the blood. That's all I know. Being a public servant is what I've done for 32 years. I've done it for the state of Florida. Now I want to do it for Okaloosa County. So I hope y'all look at my website, look into me, call me. Be interested to talk to you. Thank you.
Mr. Perillo.
My name's Eddie Perillo. I was born and raised here. Biggest move in life was from Marietta to Fort Walton. My family owned the first restaurant here in town, owned and operated it till a couple years ago. Got a lovely wife, 2 amazing boys. I graduated Fort Walton Beach High School, worked at Fort Walton PD, then went on to Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, took an early retirement, been here ever since. Very interested in being the sheriff of Okaloosa County, making a few changes, and being here, doing positive things. Thank you.
All right, Keith Wood, get us started.
Yeah, we'll start with you, Ronald. In light of recent high-profile events involving sheriff's deputies, what steps should the department take to mitigate community concerns?
You know, I think that one of the biggest issues is, you know, I've been in training for, like I said, about 20 plus years, almost 25 years. And out of that, I have been focused on firearms training is one of my biggest disciplines that I teach. And I think that the biggest issue is training. I think we need to focus on training. We got the state-of-the-art facility right up here in Crestview. And I think we need to use it. You know, the society that we live in, we never know what tomorrow is going to bring. We don't know if there's going to be an active shooter in Crestview, which God knows we don't ever want, or in Fort Walton Beach. Why aren't we training amongst every agency in this county to focus to make sure that we don't have the issues that we've had in the past? As the next sheriff, I will make sure that we focus on what we need to focus on as far as training to make sure that we're the top of the line agency in the state of Florida.
Thank you. Eddie?
Repeat that question, please.
In light of recent high-profile events involving sheriff's deputies, what steps should the department take to mitigate community concerns?
basically better training or more training accessible to the people, to hear their issues, how they feel, to make them feel safe and know that they're going to be protected for what, no matter who they are.
Thank you. Eric, to you, and I'll switch it up just a hair from should to have, if you'd like to answer that. In light of recent high-profile events involving sheriff's deputies, what steps have or should the department take to mitigate community concerns?
I could go for 10 minutes on this, but I'll just say that our agency is a model agency for training. My opponents are going to say they want to do intensive training. The state requires once every 4 years that you review your policies, you focus on less lethal training, you do firearms training, and you do psychological and defensive tactics training. So that's once every 4 years. We do that every year, so 4 times what the state requires. We also have what's called the RIGHT training, which was racial intelligence training and education. We do de-escalation training. Everybody in our agency goes through the CIT training, which focuses on dealing with people with mental challenges or substance abuse challenges. It also deals with critical incidents. We do a mandatory for all of our supervisors to do mandatory critical incident management training. And I'll just say this, we have a $5 million facility. My predecessor, it was his passion with the half-cent sales tax to build that. And all agencies, to include municipal, county, and state, and federal agencies, train at our facility.
Thank you.
You're on a roll, Ben.
Yeah. We'll stay with you, Eric. What are the biggest challenges facing the department?
Oh, by far, well, since Adam and Eve, domestic violence is just always going to be there. But the biggest challenges that we face right now from a law enforcement standpoint is the opioid crisis, the fentanyl crisis. It's coming across the border in massive amounts. We're killing more people in our communities, and we're working with the Department of Health and with an initiative Chief Beige and I and some other municipal police chiefs started around the county. We are working with trying to do something that's different than hardly anybody else does, and that's we're going to, within 24 hours, we're going to send a law enforcement officer and someone from the mental health department to go out and try to offer resources to these people that are overdosing. And the statistics show that it's roughly about 30% that those people do not overdose if they're given those opportunities within 24 to 48 hours.
Thank you. Eddie, biggest challenges facing the department?
Probably the drugs and obviously regaining the trust within the community. I think the department has lost trust recently or over the last couple of years because of incidents. But if you're talking about crisis like drugs and stuff like that, we need to crack down. I think we need more deputies on the road, more specialized units, community policing to help with all that. That's it.
Thank you. Ronald?
Good question. So there's a lot facing it. Manpower being one of them. I'm out here on the road every day. I run into these deputies. I talk to them. A lot of them are friends. But manpower. And one of the biggest issues is at the gas pumps, I see Santa Rosa County deputies. I see Walton County deputies. And they all live in Okaloosa County. So why aren't they working for Okaloosa? Why are they going to our neighboring counties? One, we obviously need to focus on the money. We need to focus on the deputies. Make sure that we retain our talent that we got. Make sure we focus on them, focus on their upward momentum. Make sure that they're taken care of. And if there's an investigation that's done, make sure it's done thoroughly. The second thing is drugs, which I'm out of time.
Eddie, we'll come back to you on this one. Last August, the state attorney general announced that Circuit 1, which encompasses Escambia and Walton County, had the highest opioid death rate per capita in the state. What do you see as the role of the sheriff's office in combating the opioid epidemic, and what agencies and/or stakeholders could the department partner with to accomplish that?
Need to come up with programs and bring in more of the agencies like the ATF and the marshals to help crack down and figure out how the drugs are getting in here. Crack down on the people that are bringing the drugs and make sure they go to jail. Stop the influx of it and the people that are using the drugs that are killing themselves. Help them get off of it or come up with programs.
Thank you. Eric?
Me?
Yes, sir.
What's the question, sir? Same one?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of answered that before. We're working with Chief Beige and all the municipalities and the health department. We've already put that initiative together. We're already working on it actively, and so it's going to be rolling out here real soon. And so I'm grateful for the chief and the other chiefs that agreed to do this. And it's an incredible thing that I'm anxious to see the numbers. But while we're talking about it, I guess I've got 40 seconds to burn. I'll say that, building trust is something I've did my whole life. I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't build relationships. And I think that if you have any question about the trust and transparency, I think anyone involved in any of the incidents that you've heard about, there's 980,000 contacts with our citizens. And those citizens will tell you, thank you for what you do. We appreciate what you do. There was only one person on this earth that was created that was perfect, and he's been dead for nearly 2,000 years.
Thank you. Ronald?
Good question. Living in the north end of the county, I see it every day. Just spoke to a gentleman the other day that lost his daughter about a month ago from fentanyl. It's a devastating issue that we're going to constantly have to focus on. But there's plenty of plans out there. There's state agencies, there's county agencies, there's city agencies, and we've got to focus and get every agency to work together. That goes back to my point of there's a phenomenal training center in Crestview. Why isn't every agency out there? Why aren't we focusing on everybody? Get everybody at the table. Because everybody's got the same issues. Fort Walton's got the issues. Crestview's got it. Niceville's got it. We all need to be sitting at the round table. We need to be coming up with what plan are we going to take to fix it. And then we need to make sure that we have a zero policy, that if we catch you, we're going to put you in jail. And that needs to be focus number one and put out into the community and stick with it.
Here we go. Several of you mentioned the collaboration with municipalities, and I'd like to know, how would you collaborate with our municipalities? And would you be willing to sign a strong mutual aid agreement with each? How would you collaborate with our municipalities, and would you be willing to sign a strong mutual aid agreement with each? Starting with you, Ron.
The answer to that question is yes. It takes everybody to make us successful. The sheriff's office isn't going to be successful on its own. Niceville PD is not going to be successful on their own. Crestview is not going to be successful on their own. It takes every municipality to work together. So to answer your question, yes, I would have no issues doing an MOU with each one. I want them all. I want everybody to be on the same playing field. I want everybody to be together. So, annually, let's sit down, not even annually, quarterly, every agency sit down together and help each other. That's how only way we're going to be successful. The problem lies of it is, and this is what I hear over and over and over again, and I don't have much time. What I hear over and over again is well, we don't want to play with this agency because we're afraid this agency is going to steal our officers from this agency. Listen, at the end of the day, if every municipality does what they have to do to help keep the salaries high for that agency, then we shouldn't have that issue. But we shouldn't be, sorry, I'm out of time.
All right. Eric Ade, and you question, how would you collaborate with our municipalities, and would you be willing to sign a strong mutual aid agreement?
That's something we already do. We sign mutual aid agreements with we have 9 municipalities in this county. Some we offer and contract for law enforcement services, while others we sign a mutual aid agreement. We work very well with our municipalities from Crestview, Valpy, Niceville, and we've never had an issue with that. And so certainly I've signed them. My predecessor signed them. We work very well with them. I'll also say, because I got some time to say it, is our violent crime has been reduced by 26%. That's something that needs to not fall short on the public here. You talk about people, why they're not living here. Why they're not living here, I don't know where these deputies that are living in other counties that are living here are, but our deputies can't afford to live in this county. You already heard everything from the county commissioners talking about workforce housing. We have got to fix that because we have deputies living in Milton, Defuniak, Alabama, and making that commute, and it's terrible. So we have to do something about workforce housing.
Eddie Perillo, back to the original question, sir. How would you collaborate with our municipalities, and would you be willing to sign a strong mutual aid agreement?
Absolutely. Everybody works together to get the same job done. Just because you work at a different department, you're in law enforcement, you want the same job done. Everybody works together as a team. You get more done.
All right, then. Keith Wood.
Yeah, we'll start down there with you, Eric. How does Okaloosa County Sheriff's Department stay competitive in hiring in this area?
Simple. Pay and benefits. We have the best insurance. Thanks to our county commission to supporting our funding for our law enforcement, we have the most competitive wage. We have the lowest vacancy rate. The state of Florida has an average of 7% vacancy rate. We have a 4% vacancy rate. I could go on and on with our numbers, but it's because we offer a competitive wage, and even that precludes them and prohibits them from being able to live in our county. But they still want to work here, so they make that commute. But that's the biggest thing. We offer the best equipment, best training, and we have a state-of-the-art facility. Otherwise, state agencies wouldn't train at our facility. And so we have the best training. We have 190 years of training alone in our training department. We have 274 years of law enforcement experience in our training division. So we go through accreditation every 3 years. They go through our use of force policies. We met all 10 mandatory standards and 22 of those recommended standards. We hit all of them, and we'll be up for reaccreditation next year.
Thank you. Ronald?
Good question. There's several ways. One is I think if we take care of our people, the word will get out. That this is a great agency to come to work for one. Two is obviously we need to work on the pay. We need to be comparable to the other agencies on either side of us. Santa Rosa, Walton County's getting pay increases. Matter of fact, they got one coming here pretty soon. So, I mean, if you look at our neighbors, we should be by far above both of them. The state's constantly giving pay raises. Okaloosa County needs to. And the answer to your question is I know many people that are living right here that are working in the neighboring counties. The second thing is we need to focus on our training. And, you know, that was what was brought up earlier was there's 200 and something years. There's some phenomenal trainers out there. Phenomenal trainers out there. I see them every time I go to the range. And would love to keep that relationship going.
Thank you. Eddie?
See you. That's me again.
How does the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Department stay competitive in hiring in this area?
Obviously, the pay, the work environment's good, but people tend to keep leaving for some reason. You keep more deputies on the road, so they're not spread out as bad, so they get help, they get relief, which will add more trust and more contact with the community once they're out there.
Want to do that one? All right. So this is for everyone. Besides the opioid epidemic, what are the most pressing public safety concerns in our county, and how would you address them? And who are you working with to collaborate on potential solutions? Melissa, who's going first?
Ron, please.
All right.
Ron, please.
Say me?
Yes.
Okay. I couldn't hear you. So I think we got several issues in the county. Obviously, traffic is one of the biggest issues, and you know, I think it's going to be a conglomeration of every agency, you know, in the county. One of our other issues is making sure that our deputies are taken care of. And by doing that, making sure that we're taking care of the road deputies. Obviously, the command staff, they're there to support the road deputies. So I think if we can put our focus where the focus needs to be, we'll attract what we need to attract. But, you know, outside of the drug issue, our traffic issue is what it is. I mean, I don't see it changing anywhere in the near future in the years to come. But that's where I believe our main focus needs to be, is where the rubber meets the road, where the deputies are out there doing the job day in, day out.
Who's next? Eddie?
Eddie, please.
Eddie, same question, my friend. Besides the opioid epidemic, what are the most pressing public safety concerns in our county? How would you address them, and who are you working with to collaborate on potential solutions?
I think a pressing issue is regaining the trust of the community, where they feel safe to come up to the deputies and speak to them. And the deputies learn to listen to them and listen to their concerns. But if the citizens feel like they can approach the deputy and express their concerns about situations in their neighborhood, it protects the deputy because they know about stuff, and it protects the neighborhood and the citizens.
Eric Hayden, same question, sir.
Well, the moral fabric in our society is broken. So, I mean, the first thing we need to do is it starts in the home. We need to be able to teach respect. We need to teach our children better, because what we're seeing is a non-value of human life out there. And so we have seen but with the technology that we've brought, we've been able to see a reduction in violent crime. Again, I think it's important to note that we've dropped our violent crime from 4,005 in 2022 to 2,808, which is a 26% drop in crime. And if you consider the crime that we had in 2020, before I took office that year, we are actually at 35% drop in violent crime. But we have to do better with working with. We have other issues besides the opioid epidemic. To answer your question, we have mental health challenges out there. We're a society of veterans that have been out there fighting downrange for our freedoms. Some of them have come back. The VA does a great job, but we still have PTSD within our community, and we've got to get help with the mental health challenges. And we have problems with homelessness, and we're working with One Hopeful Place, and with the mental health, we've got one of our majors that sits on the board for Bridgeway. So I'm out of time.
Keith Wood.
Eddie, with the signing of the unauthorized public camping, public sleeping law, what are the potential implications for the Sheriff's Department in enforcing this law?
Well, if they're on public property, then it's up to they can enforce it. Or private property, that you can't just camp wherever you want. So there has to be like procedures or help, like Salvation Army, utilize stuff like that to help these people get off the streets.
Thank you. Ronald?
I think so.
Well, the governor just passed a law here that goes in effect, July 1 for the swatting. So, I mean, that's going to help out quite a bit, because up in the north end of the county, we have several issues where people are living on private property. They're up underneath the overpass at the interstate at 85 and I-10. So, we have several places throughout the county that are homeless shelters, but they need help. They need tremendous help. They need monetary help. And, we have a lot of veterans here that are homeless that we need to try to get them placement. They've done what, they've gone out there and protected our country. They gave us the freedom that we've got. So we need to be out there helping them and doing the best that we can do for them. So I'll do anything to help any homeless shelter, raise money, whatever awareness we need to do to find these people a good place to live.
Eric?
Can you say the question is, what is it?
Yep. With the signing of the unauthorized public camping, public sleeping law, what are the potential implications for the Sheriff's Department in enforcing this law?
What's interesting about our area is we're so bifurcated with Eglin. We have concurrent jurisdiction, exclusionary jurisdiction, proprietary jurisdictions, whether you're on Hurlburt, whether you're on Eglin, whether you're on the range, whether you're on Eglin, Maine. All these things are different depending on where you're at. And to be homeless in and of itself is not a crime. And some people choose to be homeless. So we've worked with One Hopeful Place. It's actually a city-owned property, correct, over there in the mainly unincorporated area. We work with them. In addition to that, we've had to work with Hurlburt and Eglin and the Eglin security forces, because they can only do so much with citizens that are trespassing, and they have really a tough time getting that prosecuted through their magistrate. So we're working with them on procedures and processes to be able to, when people are sleeping on Eglin property, what we can do. Of course, the private property, anybody knows if you're trespassing on private property, we can take action. So we are working with all of those entities, the homeless shelters, but a lot of those people don't just stay at One Hopeful Place. They're dispersed throughout our county, as the opponent said. They're everywhere. It's a huge problem across the country.
No doubt, my friends. What is, this is for, starting with Eddie, I guess, right, Melissa? Yeah. What is your plan for ensuring that the SRO program is staffed with highly qualified and dedicated officers? And how would you address any recruitment or retention challenges? Starting with Eddie.
The SRO program is very valuable, and a lot of people want to be in it. Just keep up their training, send them to schools, make sure they're active and very vigilant in their school.
We'll jump down to Eric Aiden on the next one, sir.
Well, do I get Eddie's time? Okay, you start me over. So, no, I was a SRO in 97, 98. I was one of the first SROs to go into the schools. It was one of the most, to be honest, at that time, people didn't really know what SROs were supposed to do. The principals didn't know, the teachers. I remember having the same cafeteria lady that gave me my 25-cent milkshake say, "You have a gun on." I said, "Yeah, I got a badge too, that's my job." Well, then I got to learn that I could mentor with children. It is the biggest, it's the largest division we have, and as far as their training, it's the highest trained division in our agency short of our SRT program. And we reward them because they don't get shift differential, but it's not, a lot of people go into that thinking it's an 8 to 5 job, 7 to 4 job. It's not. Those folks are going to school at 6 o'clock in the morning and they're at a ball game till 10 o'clock at night. We try to reward them to try and entice them to come into the SRO program. We give them a 3% stipend over and above their salary. And by the way, look up the salaries. We're the highest paid agency around.
Ron, same question, my friend.
You know, I think the SRO program is a phenomenal program. Probably over the last 20 years, I've been doing DUI mock crashes, and I've gone to high schools and talked to kids. And during that time frame, I've met a lot of school resource officers, phenomenal people. And as young as I might look, you know, I've got a 9-year-old that I acquired several years ago through adoption, and he goes to an elementary school in Christie. And I have yet to see the same SRO at that school for any lengthy period of time. Every time I go through the drop-off line there's a different SRO there. So I say that to say this: we obviously need to make sure that we focus on people that want to be in that program. It's a phenomenal program. It's touching kids and letting them know what law enforcement's about. And I know a lot of SROs in Okaloosa County. I've been able to talk to a lot of them. A lot of them enjoy their job and what they're able to touch and the families that they're able to touch. So I'm 110% supportive of the SRO program and want to see it successful.
Keith Wood.
Eric, how do we address the overcrowding of the jail?
Oh my Lord. They need a jail something fierce. You know, I know that's not falls under me. There's 7 or 8 jails that do not fall under the sheriff around the state, but not only am I good friends with Nolan Weeks, the director of the jail, but also he was a product of the sheriff's office like me, came up through the sheriff's office, and he's doing a wonderful job with what he has, but I toured that facility. I mean, Shawshank Redemption looks better than our jail. And it is a very, very scary place, and I understand it's not about that we want to make things great for inmates, but they're people too, and most of the people that come into that facility for a crime are committing minor crimes. Now, we do house some major violent criminals, I mean, for at least a short period of time before they go to prison, but most of those are in for non-violent crimes. Maybe it's drugs, whatever the case may be, but it's more so to provide a good, safe place and a comfortable environment for these first first responders that are working in the correction field, and we really need to do something about it.
Thanks. Ronald?
Me? Yes. It's horrible. So I've been in there multiple times, and you know, probably the last 5 or 6 times I've been in there, I've gone in there to actually interview inmates. And You know, you look up at the ceiling and you see water stains and, you know, I mean, that place is sitting on a marsh pit. I mean, I can only imagine, I feel the floor like sinking up underneath my feet as I walk inside the jail. You know, my hat's off to Nolan Weeks. You know, I know anybody that works in that jail has got to be concerned. But, I mean, it is what it is. And listen, I support a new jail. It's going to cost money. I mean, my hat's off to the Board of County Commissioners for them coming up with a plan of how they're going to replace it. But you know, as my opponent said, hey, these people that are in that jail are humans, and they deserve to be treated with some sort of dignity. So they need to do something with it.
Eddie?
We need a new jail. But I agree. It's been a long time since I've been in there, dropping somebody off when I was at work. But it definitely needs a new jail. From what I understand, the kitchen just started working again. It was out for so long. The conditions are horrible. It's overcrowded. A lot of those people aren't even convicted yet. They're just waiting for court. So some might get found not guilty, but then they're living in these kind of conditions during their period of waiting for court. They deserve better, but the county and the corrections officers and Nolan Weeks, they all need a better work environment to work in. So yes, definitely need a new jail.
Here we go. Gentlemen, thank you for that. It's now time for our 2-minute close. Each person has 2 minutes to summarize your talents and why you should be selected sheriff. Who goes first, Melissa?
Ron, please.
Ron, all right. Ron Livingston, please, your 2-minute close, sir.
I appreciate that. Thank you, man. So my name's Ron Livingston. Obviously, like I told you earlier, I spent 32 years in law enforcement. I've been a public servant for the state of Florida for the last 32 years. I've only worked in one agency, and that was the Florida Highway Patrol. I've been a supervisor for over 25 years of that 32 years. With that being said, I've been a instructor for over 20 plus years in every discipline of law enforcement. I'm a third-generation law enforcement officer. It's in my blood. That's all I know. And I want to bring my leadership style to Okaloosa County. I want to focus right here at home. I focused all over the state of Florida, but I want to focus here. I want to bring the trust of the deputies. I want to retain the trust. I want to retain the good talent that we have here, not drive the people to the next counties or to another agency. I want to enhance the training that's going on, not do the minimum for the state of Florida. You know, the state of Florida requires us to do so much training every 4 years, like my opponent said, but that's not what I want. I want to focus on what saves the lives of the deputies, what saves the lives of the community. The community that we live in and the world we live in, I know because I'm out here where the rubber meets the road. I work with these deputies every day. I work with every city police officer in Okaloosa County deputies, Walton and Santa Rosa. I know what they tell me. So I want to enhance that training. I want to make sure that the transparency, I want to lead from the front, not lead from the rear. So I ask you, please look at my website, ronlivingstonforsheriff.com. My number's on there. Feel free to give me a call. I answer it. Thank you very much. Thanks for your attendance.
All right. Edward Perillo. 2-minute recap, my friend.
Okay, my name's Edward Perillo. I've been here all my life. Obviously, I care about this community and care what happens. Care about the trust, be an active sheriff, transparency, have an open door policy to the public where they can come in maybe once a month, have a coffee meeting with the sheriff. They can give their concerns and come up with the answer to it. If we don't have it right then, the next meeting. And that means I'll be at these meetings, not my higher-ups, my command staff. You know, regain the trust of the community. Come up with, years ago, there was like organized units like street crimes, community policing, traffic unit, bring those back. That helps the community and regains the trust of the community. Plus, it helps the deputies on the road with their work. Relieves a lot of stress. Plus, you see more law enforcement on the road, more deterrent it's going to be. That's it.
All right, Eric Aiden, 2-minute closing,
All right,
sir.
I'll finish with, so I went to Florida State. And came home and I started as a deputy sheriff, and I worked my way up in every rank of the sheriff's office, from sergeant to lieutenant to captain to major, and I touched everything that the sheriff's office has, even my last role as the administrative major. Before becoming administrative major, I was chosen to go to the FBI National Academy, where I received a criminal justice graduate certificate in criminal justice from the University of Virginia. So I came back and I ran. It was the first unopposed race for sheriff in the history of our county. I was unopposed until right before the deadline for this race as well, and now I've got 2 opponents, which is fine. But here's what I want to say to you. You know, it's easy to steer a ship in calm waters. It's a lot harder for any of you captains that have ever driven a boat to ride through rough waters. And I can tell you, I'm real proud of our agency. I'm real proud of our community. We are a community of diversity and harmony. And the transparency, I mean, come on. Why don't you take a look at voteaiden.com. Look at the list of endorsements that I have. Look at the different demographics of those endorsements and see who has endorsed me to run. If I haven't proven anything, it's been transparency, integrity, and accountability. And when I first became the sheriff, the first meeting I had was the NAACP, and I said, if anything ever happens, give me the opportunity to prove that I'm not trustworthy, accountable, and transparent. And that's why I have their support. And I will tell you this too. Randy Nelson, he's a doctor of relationship building. And he went to the FSA the other day, and the president of the FSA called me and said, you know, he said, I studied that sheriff in Okaloosa County. He said, that guy is an absolute model, and their agency is a model for being able to go through a crisis calmly. And I will tell you, it's not just me. It's the 500 men and women that put their lives on the line for you and your public safety every day. VoteAiden.com, August 20th.
All righty then. Gentlemen, I want to thank you very kindly for helping out here today. I want to thank Rochelle and Seth for helping set up, Bob Levinson for the sound, RJ Murdoch for the video, and our friends from ECAR, Melissa and Keith Wood.
Thank you.
Good to see you.